This is Jay Scott from The Hook Rocks, and you're listening to the Shout It Out Loudcast, the ultimate KISS podcast. All the information you need. You got the passion, you got the discussion, and you got Tom and Zeus. Check them out.
What's up there, KISS Army? It's Tom and Zeus with another episode of Shout It Out Loudcast. We're up to episode 67. We're calling this one Joey Cassata. Tommy, what the hell do you think this one's about?
We're about to find out, aren't we, people?
Yeah. So, without further ado,
we got a little surprise for you tonight. We're going to turn the microphone over to
Joey Cassata. Joey, how the hell you doing today?
Woo! What's up, boys? Thanks so much for having me, man. I'm a big fan of the show. Listen all the time. I even listened to the Chris Jericho episode. So even after that debacle, I'm going to stay on with you guys.
Well, thank you, Joey. We're excited to have you here. This is awesome to have you. And I'll tell you right now, the timing is uncanny and completely unplanned to have you on right after having Jericho, back-to-back weeks.
It seems suspiciously planned that way, but I'll take it anyway.
It was not. It was not, because the way the Jericho came on perfectly because we wanted to do our KISS bracket tournament wrap-up episode, and he happened to be available, and you were already scheduled. It was just perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Usually he follows me, but I'll take it this time.
Perfect. Yeah, and this has been a long time coming. We've been talking with Joey for quite some time about getting him on. He is a busy man, and we've had a few things in the works, so we're excited to have him on. We got a lot of stuff to get to, and let's first find out what the hell everybody's doing during this fun time at home. Joey, what have you been up to?
Believe it or not, I love it. I mean, I know there's a crisis out there. I know there's a pandemic going on, but I'm having a great time. I love being home with my family. Love being home with the kids, playing drums with the kids every day, playing Dungeons and Dragons with the kids, reading comics.
Get those nerds! Nerds!
Obviously doing schoolwork and stuff too, but I'm so busy all the time, whether it's teaching or on the road or doing whatever I'm doing. I don't get to spend as much time as I'd love to spend with my family. So this time really gives me the opportunity to embrace every moment that I have with them. So I'm loving it. The only thing I'm missing is sports. Yankees, by the way, baby.
Oh, here we go. See, for everybody who may not be familiar with this, we have our first Italian New Yorker on the show, and he's here talking to two Bostonian Red Sox fans. So we don't know where this is going to go, but anyways, back to what you were saying. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way. I think we're trying to take everything in stride. It is what it is. We're all trying to deal with it in our own way. And for people that are at home with kids, or, whether you're with, doing whatever, it is what it is. Try to make the best of the situation that we have. So it sounds like you are definitely doing that with your kids, having some fun, and that's a good way to take an uncomfortable negative situation and put in some kind of positive spin for you and your family.
Yeah. Great pictures. I obviously, like all of us, we follow you're very active on social media. Your family you have a beautiful family. They obviously take after their mom.
Whoa.
You have some good looking kids. And they're very talented on the drums. Very good. I don't know where they picked that up from. Are they getting lessons from someone?
Honestly, believe it or not, no. It's amazing. I've never shown either one of them anything. And I teach hundreds of kids all the time, all week long. And I'm a firm believer is that if you don't ask for something, I'm not going to volunteer, especially my own kids, because I don't want to force it down their throat. I want them to enjoy what they're doing. So as I'm down in my studio and I'm playing or recording or jamming or something, they're just down here with me. And it's amazing. Like my daughter, who's 10, just picks it up. She understands rhythm. She just sat behind my drum set one day and just started playing, and I was blown away. So I said, okay, I have, way too many drum sets. So I took one of my other drum sets, set it up for her, and we literally just started jamming one day. And then I came down another day, my daughter was playing, and I heard another drummer playing, and it was my son playing on my drum set. So now I have 3 drum sets set up down in my studio, and we all jam together. It's amazing. My son is 5. I've literally never showed either one of them anything. They just watch me. they feel rhythm, and they just play.
That's awesome.
Man, that is amazing. That's very cool. Good for you. That's awesome.
Absolutely. So anything, before we get into that, I just want to give you a quick tidbit. In 2004, Tommy came with me, had season tickets to the Red Sox. We got to see your Yankees beat the shit out of the Red Sox to the point me and him were like, that's it. We're never going to like the Red Sox again. It was game 3.
I know. Hold on. I really don't remember this series. Can we move ahead, please?
It was game 3 and the Yankees won.
I don't remember.
I think it was
19-3.
Yeah.
19-3.
And I remember Zeus and I walked out of that stadium. We were ready to friggin' jump in front of traffic on Lansdowne Street. And then we all know what happened after that. So
the Boston Red Sox earned this celebration here at Yankee Stadium with the biggest comeback in postseason baseball history.
That's when Pedro said, the Yankees are my daddy, I think, right?
I think that might have been it. Yes, correct.
And that's all I remember. I blacked out for a little while after that. I don't remember what happened.
Was that before or after the Kareem Garcia incident? You remember that one, Tommy?
Yes.
Oh.
So what? Who are you? Who are you, Karim Garcia, to try to test Pedro Martinez, a proven player for 10 years?
Those are golden times. So what's going on in Kiss World right now, Tom? Anything?
Well, obviously nothing. We say this each episode, and I'm sure Joey has seen a lot of it on what's going on with some of the awesome videos that Paul Stanley's putting out. I say it every week, but I'm a huge fan of what Bruce Kulick is doing and his wonderful wife, Lisa. She's jumping in and singing some songs, but Bruce has been just on an unbelievable tear. He's been on a revenge tear, doing like his riff of the day or whatever he calls it. Today we're recording on Thursday, the 16th of April. And he was just doing a little lesson on Spit from Revenge. Terribly underappreciated song because I love everything on that album. But in terms of Kiss stuff, there was another very unusual video that people were really getting into last week. And it was the most a very, very odd combination of Paul Stanley speaking with Richard Marx. Zeus, you want to talk about that a little bit there?
I thought it was fun. I don't know. Did you catch it, Joey?
I have it saved. I didn't watch it yet. And believe it or not, I'm a huge Richard Marx fan. I know that might be ridiculous, but he is phenomenal. Some of his songs and albums across the years are incredible. So I'm anxious to watch the interview. I did see something with Paul Stanley commenting on Steven Tyler. Tell me what happened.
All right. So at one point, they were talking about voices, and Paul obviously hedges, and he talks about, if you want to hear what I sounded like on a live, then go pick up a live. And then he says, I can't sing like I did 20 years ago. And he says, people my age, other singers, we talk about, hey, how are you, getting by? Are you doing this? If I knew I was going to sing in this key as I got older, I would have sung it in a different key when I started. And then he was joking about it. And then Richard Marx brought up, I don't think he knew. It's like, some singers, I'm so amazed. Like Steven Tyler. Oh my God. He's so wonderful. And he's like to Paul, and Paul's just like, and it just sat there, awkward silence.
And
whoa,
it was so uncomfortable.
The other guy whose voice, no matter how old he gets, just continues to be magnificent and kick-ass is fucking Steven Tyler.
Well,
really? Is this going to be our first fight?
No, we're both laughing. Let's talk about Rod Stewart.
Okay.
It just sat there.
Well, see, the thing about that shows that Richard Marx may not be 100% familiar with the sensitivities of Paul Stanley.
Listen to me. I was very hurt today.
Because you cannot say something like that to Paul Stanley, whether it's an interview or a conversation or whatever, because as we all know, we all love Paul, but his insecurities and his sensitivities, especially if you're talking about another vocalist and somebody as iconic as Steven Tyler, it didn't surprise me to see Paul Stanley kind of give him the silent treatment for a few seconds, but it was a little awkward for sure. But kind of a weird kind of a weird thing when I saw it on social media. I'm like, Richard Marx talking to Paul Stanley. Oh, all right, whatever. I guess it is what it is. But now, Joey, have you seen the videos that we're talking about with Bruce Kulick doing some of his riffs and Paul Stanley and stuff like that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the two Paul. I think Paul did what, 2 only, right?
I think he did a very short one at the beginning, and I think he's trying to do a couple longer ones. I haven't seen one in about a week or so.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I think artists should be doing more of that. Again, it's everyone has their own priorities and their own schedule and stuff, but people are fiending right now for any kind of entertainment. And I mean, even listening to you guys, people are probably listening to you guys now, right?
Yeah,
even that. Yes, even that.
People are so bored. They're like, oh, all right, fine.
But I mean, I would love to see, I talk about this all the time. I would love to see Kiss in general doing more of this stuff. Release more of this, release some stuff while people are going crazy, fiending for footage and interviews or recordings or demos, whatever it is. Release some of this stuff, whether it's via YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, whatever it is.
Release the hounds!
Give us some content. You guys they can't, with their management and their whole team together with Keith LaRue and stuff, they can't come up with 1 or 2 things a week just to throw online to say, hey, Kiss fans, we've never seen this before or heard this before. Take a glance at this. We're going to give you this while we're not on tour right now.
I want to come in and just give it all. I want to show you what I'm capable of.
And if you go to kissonline.com,
exactly.
You can get the Peter Chris edition, where Peter will hand deliver you this performance and rake your leaves.
But that's what drives me crazy. I don't want the fucking Dress to Kill red vinyl. I don't want it.
Thank you.
Who the hell wants it?
That's my partner wants it. My partner wants it. Steve from Parter Than Hell wants it. There's a few of them.
Listen, don't get me wrong. I know the Kiss crazies are going to kill me on this, but I'm just as much a Kiss crazy as everyone that's listening. That's not what I want. I want footage. I want behind the scenes footage. I want recording sessions. I want demos. I want unreleased tracks, or like Bruce is doing, which is killer, coming on and just giving us riffs and stuff like that. Give us some stuff. Where the hell is Gene? Do some stuff from home. Who cares what it is? People are starving for footage.
This is Gene Simmons from Kiss. I'm home doing nothing. No, but Joey, you're right. I said this before when we were talking about Paul doing his stuff. I'm like, where is Gene? And I'm convinced that Paul and Gene locked Tommy and Eric in a closet until the tour starts back up. Because where are they? Like you're right. I mean, like everybody wants some kind of content. Even the stuff that Bruce does. It's only about 10 minutes, maybe not even 5 minutes. But it's cool stuff. It's a little bit behind the scenes, and it's making people remember that they're out there, entertaining.
Hey, Tommy, I want to bring up one thing that you brought up. I heard you talk about when you had an appearance on PRC. Wasn't I talking about this before, Joey? A Kiss app.
Yep. And we
Simmons, $5 a month. $5 a month. Kiss app, all the videos, all the every once in a while, put some new content on there. How many people do you think Kiss could get as members for $5 a month? And that's just universal. Their grandkids will be making that money. Constantly.
Dude, not even all the videos first. You slowly put some stuff on. Dude, right now, I forget. I think Gene posted a tweet of his favorite cereals in his cupboard the other day.
I saw that.
How many people, if Gene posted a video, a live footage of Gene eating a bowl of cereal, wouldn't we all tune in like morons?
Yes.
We'd all tune in. We would love it. We would love it.
When he did his cereal, remember his kid had the cereal and stuff? We all tuned in to watch it.
We would love that stuff. That's what I'm saying. Listen, of course, I think monetary wise, they should be capitalizing on apps and streaming services and all that. I think they're totally missing the boat on that stuff. But in this day and age, with the virus going around and everyone being in quarantine, just give us a little taste to wet our beak.
Michael, your friends out. We've been together 40 years. We should wet our beaks a little. We want to do business with you, Michael. That's right.
Anything, just to keep us interested in the Kiss brand and the Kiss name. Anything, even when Paul used to post videos, or not videos, pictures of like stuff from the warehouse that he was going through. You know that they have stuff in their house. Show a video of going through an old box, even if it's staged. So what? Open up an old box and Paul will pull out his let's put the X in sex jacket or something ridiculous. You know what I mean? Something stupid. And it could be literally 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. It's going to drive viewership. It's going to boost all the notoriety and all of the awareness that KISS has while this is going on. I just don't understand why they're not doing more.
Yeah. We've said similar things to that before, even before the virus and the shutdown, is that they're not, for all the marketing that they can do with some of the silliness and some of the items.
Silly.
They are not good at grabbing hold of captive audiences in younger crowds and younger generations. And right now, if you can't take advantage of the most captive audience that the world has ever seen by what we have right now, where people are craving content I have people people texting me, hey, any new shows? I've pretty much like run out of shows, or any good movies have you seen lately? Something like Zeus said, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are much more into wrestling than I am, but doesn't WWE have like a streaming channel?
Yeah, $9.99.
Okay, so you're gonna tell, like you said, so there's one of two reasons why. Either they're too lazy, they don't care enough to do it, or we've talked about this before, maybe Paul doesn't want people to hear what he used to sound like, because I don't want to believe that they're stupid.
Maybe they're stupid.
Yeah. I don't.
Now, I think I said this somewhere else. I think people give them more credit than we should. And what I mean by that is everyone thinks KISS is marketing geniuses. Oh my God, they're marketing geniuses. They're really not. Of course, what they do really well. Everyone wants to go see them on tour. Everyone buys their records and stuff. But if you really think about it, especially since the reunion, and it really, I mean, that's when their peak hit again, and maybe forever. They might have never been at a more pinnacle than that of their success. They've really not released anything to the public. They've tried a few records, they've tried a few DVDs and stuff like that, but I really believe they're missing the boat on so much stuff, and it's all about management. And they've had so many people over the years. And again, I toured with them for 3 months straight. I was with them every day. I talked to them every day. Gene, I had lunch with almost every single day on that tour. I know how these guys think. They don't think like us. They're different people. They've been millionaires since they're in their mid-20s, and they've had yes men around them their whole lives that people want to be around them, and they will agree with everything they say, rather than having a creative mind and a person that's willing to take chances, take control of their business and say, here's what we're doing today. Here's what we're doing this month. Here's how to drive the note home. They don't need it, because obviously they're all millionaires. They don't need it. So they don't have that drive that they should have anymore, and that marketing drive that they should have. So they're missing the boat on so much stuff just because they're not thinking of it. Not because Paul's nervous about his voice or Gene's doing this. I think we give them too much credit.
Yeah,
you might be right. It's perfectly said. You might be right. They're in such a bubble that they're not. Yes. They don't understand that there's people like us who want this. They don't get it. Zeus, go ahead.
I think what another aspect, and I've heard you say this before, Joey, is that they prefer you shell out the money, and if you come up with a great idea, we'll allow you to put our logo on it, and you can take a small percentage, and thanks for the risk. So I would have to develop the app, come with this game plan, all this marketing, spend this money, and be like, look, here's what you can do. We can do this, this, and this, and that, and you'll make millions of dollars. Great, thanks. We'll give you 10%, and we're going to run with it. And you're like, okay. So
you are 100% right. KISS waits for licenses to come to them. And again, because I'm in the business, I know all this stuff. KISS waits for because that way you never lose money. You never invest money. You never have to start a business or do anything. Even like the LA KISS and all that stuff with the Arena League and Rock and Brews. Do you think Gene and Paul put money into that? Of course not. No. They were paid a license, and whatever amount of dollar they were guaranteed, here's $1 million to use the KISS logo on our football helmets, and we're going to call the brand KISS. What was it? KISS LA? What was it called?
LA Kiss.
LA Kiss. And blah, blah, blah. Plus, we'll give you X amount percentage of the profits. That way, when it fails, which it did, they don't lose anything. They're already ahead. But they don't realize that in the long run, it diminishes your brand in that way. And you have failure after failure after failure rather than, they're like in between. They're not big enough to have Disney and these big corporations come to them and say, we want you on our streaming service. We want blah, blah, blah. We're going to do this for you. But they're not small enough that they should be doing all this stupid licensing product. They should be running the show themselves and or with Doc or other management in the media business that says, here's what we got to do. Here, let's be proactive. Pump $5 million into this, and in 10 years, you're going to get $35 million. And I just think that they think they're too big for their britches.
Yeah.
Well said.
So,
well said.
We can have Joey on to talk KISS, and obviously on any subject matter, right? Good Lord. But the reason we do have you on at first is to talk about your book, Start with a Dream. I'm holding it up. It's like, I don't know, what's War and Peace here?
Well, according to Jericho, there's 17,000 pages in it.
So Joey was kind enough to send me the book. When I got it, I was like, holy fuck, I'm going to have to read all this. Holy shit. But I will say, very well spaced, very quick read, tons of pictures. It goes by rather quickly. I enjoyed it. I've been singing its praises for weeks upon weeks. Tommy finished the book as well. And I wanted to go through with you, Joey, and we're lucky to have you on to go through a lot of the stuff that's in this book and ask you questions about it. And we're excited to have you.
Yeah, I just finished the book today. And I have a massive library of rock bios. I love general music books, books on specific bands, artists, etc. I have read some terrific ones. I have read some ones that it was a drudgery to get through them. And I will say,
Me too.
this is so well put together, and it's written by somebody who really believes every word that's in the book and is so thankful for everything that happened to them in the book. Like Zeus had mentioned before, there's some unbelievably funny, exciting, unexpected, emotional sections of this book that kind of came out of nowhere. And it is just an unbelievable read to see the journey from you as a little 5-year-old KISS fan until present day. And I applaud you on the book. I loved it. I flew through it. And to read big books like this, I'm a reader, but to fly through big books, sometimes I put the book down and I don't come back to it. This was terrific. Even my son was like, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm reading. He's like, but usually you read when you're in bed at night. I'm like, I know, but I want to read this book, because I was sitting in the living room reading, and I never do that with any book. It was just a terrific book, and I just want to give you some applause for that, Joey. It was very, very well made, and we're going to get into it.
Guys, thank you. Really, thank you so much. I don't want to scare people away by the page count. What I did purposely, what I did purposely was I included so many photos and so many behind the scenes clips of my band and touring with KISS and just stories through my life, and even the spacing of the book with the words. As we're getting older, that little print and that little, this small one space printing, it's harder to read. So if this was a regular book that was released by, whether it was Paul Stanley, like if this was Paul Stanley's book, the way he laid it out, it would only be about 375 pages. And the hardcover, believe it or not, I did reformat because Barnes & Noble's needed me to reformat it for some reason. And it really only is 380 pages. So it's the same book, and it's a regular size book. It's what I've heard from people, and my favorite compliments on Amazon and from BarnesandNobles.com and iTunes is that it's a big book, but it's a fast read. It's an easy read. It's a comfortable read. And the best thing that I've heard is it feels like me and you are in a bar hanging out and I'm telling you stories. And that's exactly what I wanted. I'm not a writer. I've never written a book in my whole entire life. Obviously, I mean, most people have never written a book, and I had no idea how I was going to do it. So what I did was I just started writing down stories like I speak. How would I tell you a story if me and you were together? What would I say? And I would literally just write that down. And that's how I began writing this book and how I finished it. It just was me talking to the pages. And I really had no intention of almost releasing it at first. I had my original intention was I wanted all of these stories written down one day for my kids to read. Whether it was 20 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever it was. Both of my parents, unfortunately, are gone. They're passed away. My grandparents are gone. They're passed away. I can't talk to them about their lives. So I wanted to have something on paper that said, here's my life. Some of it was really fun. Some of it was really hard. But I want you always to remember to believe in something and follow whatever dream you have. So I really wrote it for my kids. And then as I started sending like clips and stuff to my old bandmates and friends and like goofy stories that I wrote in the book, everyone was like, this is so much fun. Why don't you release this? I said, who the hell is going to buy this? A couple, ZO2 fans, Z-Rock fans, I got a couple, maybe 1,000, couple thousand, maybe max. But then all of a sudden, I reached number 1 on Amazon the first few weeks that I released it. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And believe it or not, people started gravitating more towards the childhood stories of me growing up in the 80s and visiting record stores and how you found out who was playing where at what concerts and what arenas. And it was almost like a childhood trip for people our age, in our 40s and 50s and stuff like that. So it became more of a book than I ever realized it could have been.
Yeah, it's a fun read, and the thing too, it's a feel good story too. It's a real life story. There's tragedy, there's success, there's happiness, there's disappointment, there's anger. So even if you may not, let's just say that even if you're not a music fan, even if you're not a Joey Cassata fan, which is impossible, how can you not be a Joey Cassata fan? It's a good read, and there's not a lot of those kind of books out there. You can go and read The Dirt by Motley Crue and hear stories about Nikki Sixx half dead from heroin and all that. Those books are terrific. This is not that book.
This is Kissel,
and that's not what you want when you all the time. It's a I don't want to sound like we're kissing our guest's ass, even though he did demand that we do that tonight. So, but I highly recommend the book. I just can't stress enough. It's a fun read. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into the details. I know Zeus has a couple things he wants to get into before we jump into the book, and we're gonna do that.
Yeah, no, I said the same thing. I echo Tom's sentiments. For me, Joey, I'm not gonna lie to you. I told you, I think originally, who the fuck is Z-Rock? Who the fuck is ZO2? I've heard you on a couple other podcasts. I'm like, I know. Hats off to you, buddy. You're a charming fella. You're a likable character.
I didn't ask you what characters you had. I didn't ask you to go into all that.
I don't know how your book is going to be, but I wanted to get you on to talk about Kiss. You were kind enough to send me the book. I didn't know what I was going to get into. So what was the best part of this book? And I don't know if I can say that, hey, everybody that buys this book will have this luxury, is reading this book. And Tom, I was texting him throughout the book. Like, holy shit, this is happening. And he'd be responding back to me. And I didn't know what's like, I know the finished product. I know who Joey is now. I didn't know all this shit, the road he traveled to get to the Joey I met now. I didn't know all the characters that pop in and out of his life. I didn't know what happened to Z-Rock. I didn't know how many albums, ZO2 did. I didn't know about his other bands. I didn't know what it was like when he was on tour with Kiss, but I got to read about it and ask him questions. That's a luxury I'll probably never get, because if I read somebody else's book, I'll probably know the story, but I didn't know really his story. So all of a sudden on Spotify, there's ZO2. All of a sudden, every episode on Joey's YouTube page, which you guys should all check out. What is under Cassata Entertainment?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Go over there to YouTube. I watched every episode of Z-Rock. I watched all his episodes and his little clips of Joey Licious. I got into it. You're rooting for the guy, despite him being an annoying bastard at times. You root for him. There are 3 moments in this book that I'll talk to you about that brought tears to my eyes. There are other times where I fucking made me climb the stairs, and climbing stairs isn't my forte these days. But I felt like I was Rocky climbing the stairs with you. And there are other stuff that make me angry. There is stuff in the book that made me like, dude, I wish I was your lawyer back then. There are other stuff that we talked about along the way. I can't say enough. So Joey, one of the things we always do is we have Murph questions named after Tommy's roommate, Murph. And these are some 5 questions about Kiss. Pretty simple. Favorite Kiss member?
Woo. Off the top of my head, I'm going to go with Eric Carr.
Nice. Favorite Kiss song?
Jesus Christ. Again, these are things that change weekly,
today,
or
right
daily,
now.
or hourly. I'm going to go Love Gun.
Yeah. Favorite Kiss album?
I mean, my favorite album of all time, if you're asking regular album or studio album, my favorite album of all time is Kiss Alive 2.
Oh, yes. What if you had to pick a studio album?
Studio album, again, it changes daily, but right now I'll say Rock and Roll Over.
Yeah. How many Kiss concerts have you been to? That doesn't count 'cause it's on tour with them. But
right,
how many?
It's a crazy question because I did tour with them. So with the tour, I've probably been to maybe 80.
Jeez.
Favorite Kiss memory?
This should be easy for you, Joey.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's really close because like we talked about before in my book, there's 2 memories that come to mind. It's the first time I saw Kiss in 1979 on the Dynasty tour. I was 5 years old, and it was experiencing the first time that I was on the road with Kiss, touring with them, my first show with them. So I would have to put them equal right now.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard to pick. Those are 2
very hard,
unbelievable things. Yeah,
and great parts in the book as well.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Tom. You feeling kind of sexy over there?
It's always a sexy time, and when you add somebody like Joey in here, I mean, how can you just not feel a little bit excited here? He's getting close. He's kissing the camera. But we want our audience to know you've been listening for a couple weeks here. We got some, it's a quarantine. You're in your house. Maybe you can go online and take care of some of that, extra time you have. Okay. Free stuff is awesome, but free stuff to spice up your bedroom is even better. Select any one item for 50% off. Then adamandeve.com loads on the free stuff. Use offer code Loudcast at checkout and get 10 tantalizing free gifts. A sexy item for him, a special gift for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy, and 6 free spicy movies and free shipping. That's promo code Loudcast at adamandeve.com. And I can see Joey feverishly writing down that information.
I think you forgot to say Zeus hand delivers anything too, right?
You have to pay extra for that.
Perfect.
Nice.
So basically in chapter 1, you bring up the first thing that comes to mind for me in this book is this running theme of frozen moments. Do you want to tell us what that's about?
It's funny. It's something that I didn't even realize was happening throughout my life until I started writing this book. I knew there were these moments that always happen throughout my life that I reflect back on, that I really could breathe in the moment, and whether you say smell the flowers, take a moment to smell the flowers, whatever it is. In my life, there are these moments that I really feel that I can freeze time. And whether it's for a second, whether it's for 20 seconds, whether it's for a minute, I freeze the moment and I can just suck that moment in and breathe for 20 seconds or so, or whatever that moment calls for. And I can just see that moment for what it is, whether it's seeing Kiss for the first time at Madison Square Garden in 1979, or laying on the couch with my kids and giving my son his bottle for the first time. There are these moments that happen to me, and I it's not something you can plan or not something you can script out. They happen throughout my life, and I feel myself take a deep breath, and I just can see the moment almost outside of my body for a few seconds. And it's so weird, and it's so hard to describe. And it was one of the hardest things that I had to write in the book, that I didn't know how to describe it. And I'm not even sure if I described it well or not. Maybe this is better than even the book. I'm not sure if I ever really could figure out a way to describe what I was talking about. But there are these moments in my life that I can stop and freeze time and just relish the moment and appreciate what's going on for a few seconds.
Yeah. You did describe it well. You know why you described it well? Because I have those similar things. And that's why right from the get-go, I got hooked in this book when I saw that. And mine are always something negative. So I'll explain it to you. I'll give you a perfect example. There I am, Game 6, Bruins versus Blackhawks. Bruins are up by a goal. Game 6 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Holy shit. Blackhawks tied it with a minute to go. Next thing you know, they dump the puck in, shot, rebound, shot, score with 17 seconds left to go. The building goes quiet. In my mind, I freeze everything. Like, this isn't happening. Wake up. Don't worry. You're sleeping. This isn't happening. This is not going on. It's fake. Everything's frozen. We're going to take this back. I know exactly what you mean. Anytime something bad like that in sports or something happens or anything like that, take it back. Nope, this isn't real. You're asleep. You're going to get out of this. And that frozen moment is something that instinctually, for me, like, I know what you're talking about. I can feel it. Like, you think you can manipulate something to keep this moment from either happening or not happening. Tom?
Yeah, Joe, you did explain it perfectly, and I think everybody knows what we're talking about now, whether you've read the book or not, because, you know, whether it's, like you said, a Kiss show or something involving your children or anything like that, like whether it's positive or negative, you know when one of those moments is kind of occurring in real time. You know, it's when everything is either just so amazing that's happening in front of you that you know, and sometimes it's tricky to stop and do that and freeze it, you know, but you know those moments. And I think that was just a great way to kind of kick off the book and bookend it too, not to give too much away from the book, but using that terminology and that phrasing there was a great way to kick it off, because we get it.
Yeah, you got an A in English.
I love so much that you guys say that, because it's so funny especially because this is my first book. I was contemplating taking all of that stuff out of the book, meaning God, no. I didn't know if people would understand what I was talking about. And like you said, it really starts the book and bookends the book too. And there was a point where I was editing the book, and believe it or not, I did edit the book. It was bigger than it even is now. And there were points where I almost took some of that stuff out because I didn't know if people would understand. And then I finally said, after writing all these pages of my whole life, I said, you know what? I've been so honest throughout this whole book of everything I feel. I'm going to leave it in. And if people don't get it, whatever, they don't get it. And if 3 people do get it, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, we got it, and it's a nice running theme. So I was saying you're going to get an A in literature. You saw Kiss when you were 5 years old. You didn't know why you were fixated on hot dogs, apparently, but you were fixated also on Peter Criss, whose shirt I'm wearing. What was it about Kiss, seeing them, and how awesome was it that your mom took you to see you?
Well, that's funny. My book opens literally with me walking into Madison Square Garden, not knowing anything about why I was going there. I had no idea why I was walking into Madison Square Garden. I was walking in with my mom, my dad, my brother, and my brother was a Kiss fan at the time. And I think I knew we were going to see Kiss, but I didn't even know what that meant. I have no idea what that even meant at that time. I had no image in my brain. I had nothing. So I was a chubby kid.
Don't pay any attention to those fools, lardass. Just Dave.
I was 5 years old. And if anyone's ever been to Madison Square Garden or any arena or concert, there's hot dog stands and pretzel stands and stuff outside. So I was most excited about getting my hot dog and walking in. I didn't care where we were going. I was getting my hot dog and I was thrilled. So I got my hot dog literally right before we walked in, and I'm eating my hot dog. And as we're walking in, I see thousands and thousands of people walking around, and it's the first big event that I've ever been to. So I really had I didn't have my bearings. I didn't know anything that was going on around me. I couldn't really comprehend what was happening. And as I'm walking in again, eating my hot dog, I see merch and stuff. I kind of see the image of the makeup, and it kind of vaguely takes me back to some commercials and stuff I've seen, but I still didn't care or know why I was there. And then when I entered the arena through the black curtain, we got to our seats, and I smelled this weird smell, which was, now that I know, is marijuana and stuff like that. And I'm still eating my hot dog, and I'm kind of excited because everyone is excited, but I really have no idea what's going on. And then all of a sudden, you wanted the best, you got the best, the hottest band in the world, Kiss. And the explosions went off, and I was captivated for the next hour and 45 minutes like I probably have never been since. And I don't know why, and I really can't even explain it because I was 5 years old, so my memory is still a little foggy from it because I was so excited. But the combination of music, and I was way up in the bad seats in Madison Square Garden, so I could barely see the band. There was no video screens and stuff like kids have today. But I could vaguely see these characters on stage doing their own thing and hearing this crazy loud sound. And the thing that I felt the most pounding in my chest was the bass drum of the drums. So that kind of what hooked me the most. And then towards the end of the concert, when Peter Criss rose to the top of the arena and these fireworks were going off around him and this big cat drop was underneath him, it was like a giant spaceship taking off. And I said, oh my God, this is what I have. I don't even know if I said it to myself, but I just felt it. That's what I have to do for the rest of my life. And I was changed forevermore.
And what even made it more unbelievable, and you may not even, obviously you were 5, but it was the Dynasty tour. Oh, wouldn't you give anything to have go back right now and tell your 5-year-old self what you're seeing? That it was the Dynasty tour with those costumes and that, and we're about the same age, okay? So yeah, not that I want to make this about me, but just in terms of relating.
Hold on, Zeus looks a lot older than us. Is this true?
Well, Zeus is about 60, 65.
I'm 46, you asshole.
So we're about the same age. So my yeah, he's keeping track now. And I remember, again, I don't want to make this about me, but I remember what my experience with seeing Kiss for the first time was seeing my cousin's stack of records and seeing the cover of Love Gun. And I remember, it wasn't the band on stage, but it was like, holy shit, what is happening? What's
happening, hot stuff?
Is happening here? I have to, this has to be my life. And that was 42 years ago, and here we are now.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine was, I talked about that. My crazy cousin Mike, older cousin Mike, had the Spirit of 76 on his wall. And I'd go visit him, like, what the hell is this? Who are these guys? And then he's like, you got to listen to. Next thing I know, I went through it all. The Kiss cards, the Kiss records. Our parents were buying me records and my brother records, like Kiss records, them bleeding all over the place, like 5, 6 years old. The hell parent would buy them that? And but we went through that phase. So that's why another great part about this is we're in the same age group. You're seeing this around the same time. You're falling in love with them around the same time. And it just continues. The other thing that I found fascinating is Double Platinum was your first album?
Yes, it was. It was, like I said, right as soon as I left that Kiss concert, I was captivated. I needed more immediately, pre-immediately. So when we got home, my brother was 5 years older than me at that time. So he was 10 going on 11. And he already had a few Kiss albums because that's really why we were there, because he was a fan. And he had the album Double Platinum. And I think he had a couple others at that point, but I don't even remember what they were. But that's the one, you know, as I'm looking through his records, this thing was glowing like the suitcase in Pulp Fiction.
Vincent, we happy? Yeah, we happy.
And I was like, holy shit, what is this thing? And I pulled it out and I said, my brother's name is Dan. I said, Dan, please, can I play this? Can I use it? Can I have it? And he let me have it. And he literally just gave it to me. And I went in my room and I played that record over and over and over again until, you know, it was just bleeding out of my ears. I couldn't get enough of it. And the images that I was getting from the concert, from that platinum album, that all those images on that album and those sounds that were coming off of my record player when I was 5-6 years old now at this point, I was literally losing my mind. I couldn't get enough of it.
Double Platinum was the first album, because I took my cousin's Love Gun record and I actually have it framed in the basement. It's probably the holy grail of the original pressing 1977 Love Gun. And then I got for Christmas, I was 5 years old, I got that Double Platinum, that silver, that gatefold with, you know, with the embossed faces. I still have that. And you're right. You all you wanted to do was consume more Kiss, whether it was the music, the merch, and like you said at the beginning of this episode, it's what we want now. We still want to consume Kiss. And it's just awesome to hear these stories. You know, I love it.
Yeah, I've told the story before too. For me, Kiss, I don't know what was my first album, but I will tell you that Kiss, when I had my own money, the first CD I ever bought when I started buying CDs was Double Platinum, because I thought I was smarter than everybody. Because there's 20 songs and I'm paying the same price as people buying albums for 10. And Double Platinum was the first CD I ever bought.
Yep.
So there's a nice little tidbit for both of us. Then you also ended up getting The Elder. I love reading that on cassette.
So moving on. So I think I had gotten a few albums from my brother at that point, but you know, now I want my own Kiss album. Now we're talking, you know, a year or two later, and now I'm going to Sam Goody every week with my brother, looking at new albums, you know, with my mom in the mall. And I want a new Kiss album, something I've never heard before. I've heard some of, you know, I think I've heard Love Gun at this point. I've heard Double Platinum. I've heard Alive 2, which is my favorite record of all time. Now I want something new. So now I saved up my money. I saved up my $10, and now I want to go get something new. So I go into the record store, and I'm like, I'm going to buy my own Kiss album finally. My brother doesn't have to give me his. This is my first record that I've ever bought ever. So I'm looking through the K section. Of course, you run straight to the K section like we always used to do.
Yep.
And I'm scramming. I'm running through it all quick. And I'm seeing records that I've seen before because I've been to the mall 100 times already, but I never have money to buy anything. And I see something on the rack that I've never seen before in the K section with Kiss, and it's this hand knocking on this wooden door. And I said, "What the hell is this?" And it says Kiss in the corner. So I said, this is what I want. This is the one I want. Don't ask me why I chose that one. I guess I knew it was the new one because it was on the new rack and stuff. But I said, I didn't know if this was a bootleg or not because my parents lived at Greenwich Village at the time. I had bought a few like live weird bootlegs, which I still have, by the way. I still have those records.
Nice.
And they're like Kiss 76, but they're terrible, awful. Yeah. And you really almost can't listen to them. And I was so nervous that it was going to be one of those and waste the only $10 I had. I said, what do I do? So we finally decided, me and my brother, we were going to buy the cassette of The Elder. And I had my Walkman, which I never left home without, which was my prized possession at this point in 1981. And I bought the cassette and I said, if it's a bootleg and I can't really hear the audio on it, I'll return it and I think I was going to get Dynasty at the time, which I didn't have at the time. Cool. And sure enough, I ran outside. I ripped open the cellophane of the cassette, threw it in. I heard the oath. I said, yes, it sounds great. So I loved it. I wanted that. I kept it. But then I was reading the liner notes, like as I was walking around the mall, and I saw that this drummer, Eric Carr, was on the drums. I saw Kiss, Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, and Eric Carr. I said, what the hell is this? I know Peter Criss from all my records and obviously from the tour. So I didn't know what this was. So I was losing my mind that there was a new drummer in Kiss, because Peter Criss at that point was my hero. So I had no idea what to do. So, of course, I run to the nearest newsstand. I'm looking through all the magazines. I'm trying to find anything that says Kiss. But in 1981, like as you guys know and everyone knows out there, Kiss were dead.
Oh, yeah.
So there were no magazines with Kiss in them. So unfortunately, I never got to see this person named Eric Carr on my brand new Elder cassette.
And it's funny, because go on, Tom.
No, I was just going to say, this is another reason why I'm so glad we have you here, because your Elder experience, and I am being hand to God, is almost the exact same as mine. I had a sister who was 4 years older who was really, really into all kinds of rock music, pop metal, all kinds of stuff. And we would go to the mall all the time and always look at records. And I remember seeing Unmasked, came out in 1980, and I was like, oh, that cover looks kind of cool. And then I remember seeing The Elder, that was 81, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of mysterious. I know Kiss isn't on the cover, but maybe this is kind of what's going on here. And at the time, I actually was a little bit aware of the Peter Criss thing, again, because I have a sister who's older. Because I think in 1980, or whenever it happened, Eric Carr was on the cover of People magazine with Kiss, and it was kind of like the new drummer. But at our age, we kind of really didn't even know what the hell was happening. And I remember putting in The Elder and hearing the Oath, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, what the fuck is this song?
All right, what was it, Tom? How's it go?
And then it goes into.
I love when he does fanfare,
and the Odyssey, and I'm like, where? How is it? Can I return this now, or what do I do with this? But now, all these years later, I don't know about you, Joey. I love The Elder.
Love The Elder. Listen, Let's not get into it crazy right now, but I will gladly do a whole Elder episode.
Yes.
Love The Elder. I think it's so underrated. I think it makes Kiss what Kiss is.
Perfect.
I like it too. I do. I just find it funny because this story leads into your next CD that you buy, which was Creatures of the Night. And I love that part in the story in the book where you're like, now I get to go see what he looks like. Because you had no idea who Eric Carr was or the makeup. Because, hey, kids, there is no social media out there. Nobody was on the internet. You didn't just Google things. You had to find out word of mouth or random. So I just found that awesome that, you're dying to find. And this part was the stuff that cracked me up. So he apparently, I'm going to paraphrase. You went into the record store and you saw it and you told the guy, hold this, I'll be right back, I'll get you money. And the guy's like, it's a Kiss album, kid. Like, no one's going to be buying it. You don't need me to hold this. Something like that.
Dude, I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember when I saw this cover, again, I'm going into Sam Goody. That was my local record store in the mall. And I had no idea. You don't know that a new record is out. You had no idea, no fucking idea. You couldn't know at that time when you were a kid that a new record was coming out. You didn't have a press release and the internet to tell you this shit. So when you walk into a record store, you're just looking at old records. And my brother pointed out, hey, what's that over there? And I turn around and I see this glowing purplish blue album cover with Kiss on it. And I lost my mind because I saw Gene. It's maybe my favorite album cover, which I just ordered a giant 10 by 15 rug of it, by the way, just so you know.
Holy shit. Beautiful.
I saw this record on the new release section, and I saw this makeup that I've never seen before. Now, you got to understand, now we're talking 1982-ish, 83-ish. I'm obsessed with Kiss. I'm not just a fan. I didn't see them in 1979. Now I'm 9 years old almost, and I'm flipping out over everything that Kiss does. And to see this for the first time and me having to try to research what this guy Eric Carr and imaging him and imagining him while I'm listening to The Elder all these years, or a year and a half, whatever it is, what he looks like. I don't even know if he's wearing Peter Criss's makeup at this time. I have no idea.
Yeah.
When I see this record, I literally lose my mind. So I have no money on me. I'm 8 years old, and I run up to the counter and I say, please, I'm begging this salesman, you have to hold this like it's the Holy Grail. Please save this for me. I will be right back. And I want to run out to find my mom to beg for another $10 to buy this record. And the guy is looking at me like, kid, you are an idiot. Nobody is buying this record. I have 20,000 of them in the store. Nobody's buying it. Trust me. Kiss is dead. And I literally wanted to slap him in the mouth. So again, I run and grab my mom to grab $10 from her, which she reluctantly gives me, of course. And I buy this record, and still to this day, it's like my holy grail of Kiss records.
Of course, and the excitement. So you're what about 9 years old?
Yeah.
So when you see that, you probably think, oh, there's only one of these. I have to have the guy hold it for me. Meanwhile, because you're a little kid, you're so excited. You're like, this is unbelievable. I have to have this, but I need to get money. Hold this. And it's just such a great story. The guy's like, yeah, no one's buying Kiss records right now, buddy. Kiss. I could throw this out into the middle of the food court and no one's going to take it. So, but I'll hold it for you if you want me to.
I could see that moron's face right as I'm telling the story. I could see that moron's face.
That's perfect.
Excellent.
So a couple other things, because we'll be here all night. I've got a couple things that I mean, a lot of the stuff that I can relate to amongst the beginning part of your story is that you fell in love with wrestling. You were at that Hogan beats the Iron Sheik match at MSG. I watched that live, buddy. I watched it on TV with my grandfather. So a lot of this stuff that I have very similar to you. I grew up with an immigrant family. So my parents and my grandfather, only thing he'd like to watch were Westerns and wrestling. You didn't need the language. You can understand who the good guy was in a Western, and you knew who the good guy was. My dad used to fight with my grandfather. It's fake, Dad. It's fake. My grandfather would be like, no, look at the chair. That's real. It was hilarious. My grandfather brought me to my first event. He brought me, and I saw a snooker fight, Captain Lou Albano in Boston Garden. So I remember that match. I remember Bob Backlund losing to Iron Sheik. I remember all of a sudden, Hulk Hogan from Rocky III comes in. The Iron Sheik, who seemed like nobody would ever beat him. And then in 2 seconds, Hogan throws him off the rope, drops the leg, and it's over. And you're like, what the fuck? I remember the Kiss part of your story. I remember the wrestling part, falling in love with both of them. And I still love both of them to this day. So I just had to bring the wrestling part up. And obviously it comes into your story a little bit later. But I just had to tell you about that because I can really relate to it.
Go ahead. It's funny because I really see that wrestling and Kiss and superheroes and stars, all this pop culture at the time, these bigger than life characters in the 80s. I feel like all of our generation, and I'm sure most of your listeners, all feel passionate about these things, whether it's wrestling and Kiss and comic books and superheroes and Star Wars, whatever it is. There was this pop culture phenomenon at the time, and kids at that age, in their 40s and early 50s now, they were bigger than life characters. And, Kiss was right along the lines with all of that stuff we were talking about, the wrestling and Star Wars and comic books and superheroes.
Yeah, you got comic books?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, where are they? What are they, funny?
It was all the same type of genre that everyone got addicted to. Maybe you were addicted to 2 out of the 3 or 5 out of the 6, whatever it was, but I feel like we all gravitated towards the same things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Tom, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just before we kind of move on into your, the ZO2 career and your career as a musician, one last childhood story I have to bring up because I was laughing my ass off.
Laughing and lying!
Because I was there and I experienced it almost the same, was the hell you went through as a Catholic school student. Dude, I'm telling you, I went to Catholic school my entire life, from first grade all the way through college. And in those early elementary school years, I was a behavioral problem, shall we say. And this was back like you, when pretty much the entire school was all nuns. And that section of your book, when it was like it was like you were Luke Skywalker and she was your Darth Vader, and it was just I was laughing my ass off because every kid who went to Catholic school way back in the late 70s, early 80s knows how it was with those nuns. And I was relating to that segment, and I was laughing and loving every minute of that section.
Thank you again. Thank you so much. Again, when I'm writing this book, I'm not thinking, oh my God, let me see how many people can relate to this Catholic school story.
Oh yeah.
I'm just writing on the events of my life. And it's funny, after the fact, so many people enjoyed that part of the book more than I could have ever imagined. Me telling stories of me in Catholic school and the nun suspending me because my hair is long, or, having to take my finals in her office during 8th grade just because my hair was touching my collar, or, me being suspended because my hair was long and my mom telling me, you tell that nun Jesus had his hair long. Why can't you? And I did that. And, it cost me a week's suspension, but it was the greatest thing that I ever did. But it's funny. I don't realize that when I was writing the book, I didn't realize people would relate to that so much. Again, I'm just telling my story, and I'm telling it for my kids, and I'm telling it for whoever's going to read it. And it's really the best compliment that I get, that guys like you who didn't know my career, both of you maybe didn't know my career, can relate to this book early on, before the career takes off, before all the other stuff happens, and just say, yes, that's what my childhood was like. I can relate to this guy.
Yeah. Good, great stuff.
And the only other thing I want to bring up about your childhood, and we'll move on to your musical career, and that is that you had some punk cousins from Boston that used to say booked it. We say that up here. That's where you got it. You got it from Boston. We've been saying that for years. Oh, I booked it down the street before the cops came. We say that shit all the time.
100%. Not only that, when I was young growing up, I didn't have the MSG network. When you talked about before, when you saw Hogan live on the MSG network, I used to have my cousin from Winthrop. She used to record the MSG network for me on VHS and send me VHS copies of the MSG network live from MSG, because
we didn't
have
it.
Brooklyn,
it wasn't MSG. It was like on syndication, like TV 38. So that's when all the matches were jobbers.
Right.
Okay. But once in a while they would show one great match, and they showed the Hogan match, and we saw the Iron Sheik match against Backlund. That's it. But yeah, it wasn't the MSG net because cable wasn't around then.
Right.
But yeah, I can imagine that. I find that hilarious, the whole Boston thing there. But there's a lot of stuff in your story, a lot of funny stories about your friends growing up and kids in activities and people playing pranks on each other and passing out and shit, and just great fun stories. I suggest you guys read it. You'll get a kick out of it. But I want to kind of steer us back into your musical career. We know you had the drum set at 5, and you had your little drum room in your apartment. And it's a really heart-tugging story of the sacrifices. And that's the other aspect that I can relate to, that your parents, your mom, did for you. And how tough it was as a struggle, but how much you appreciated and saw that whatever she would do to try to help you in your career and your love of music, and how lucky you were to have such a supportive person to get you onto that path to become the person you are today.
It's amazing because at the time, you don't realize or appreciate things, I guess, when you're growing up and when you're a kid. But when you get older, you can look back at things and say, holy shit, I didn't realize the sacrifices my mom or parents or whoever made for you during your life that got you where you are today. And, I knew this as an adult, but as I was writing this book, and my mom had passed already long before I wrote this book, when I started writing this and started recounting all the stuff that my mom did throughout the years to help me, and not only help me, but support me in every endeavor that I ever did throughout my musical career, it was mind-boggling to me. From whether it was taking me and my brother to see Kiss in 1979 for the first time, or shortly after that in that Christmas, me asking for a drum set. And we didn't grow up a rich family. We grew up poor. We grew up struggling. We grew up, hard to pay the bills, and, electric off, lights off, and stuff that was happening, that was really hard to grow up in. But when you're growing up as a kid, you don't realize that stuff. All you know is it's Christmas and I'm asking for something. And if I don't get it, I'm upset. And for somehow, and I really don't even know how to this day, my mom always got me whatever I asked for. And for Christmas 1979, it was a drum set. And then year after year after year after year, she would always get me something that I would ask for Christmas or my birthday that I wanted. And everything I always wanted was to pursue my musical career in drumming. And whether it was a new cymbal or it was a new snare drum or a new drum set, she always came through. And I believe it or not, I really don't even realize to this day how she did it. And she sacrificed everything she ever did, whether it was pay the rent or buy food for us, or we would eat peanut butter and jelly, or she would turn the phone off for 6 months at a time just to get me something that I wanted. It was such an honor and a privilege to have a person like that in my life. And that's what I try to do to my kids, to just give them everything, not everything that they want, but everything they dream of. And, everything. You don't want to spoil a kid because it's what they want, but you want to give kids something to pursue what they're passionate about. And when a kid has passion, like I had when I was 5 years old after seeing Kiss, and I knew I had to be a drummer, my mother saw this in me, and she gave me everything that I could have ever wanted growing up, and the support that I could have ever wanted growing up as a kid, as a musician, as a son. And it's something that I didn't realize until I wrote this book, how grateful I was to have this person in my life.
Yeah, it's such an amazing part of the book, and it's a thread that continues throughout the book. But the way you get into that early part, it's just very, very, very well written. You should be proud of that, and I know you are, because it's very well done.
Thanks.
So you had a bunch of bands throughout. I don't want to get through all of them. We'll be here all day, but you went through some good ones, some bad ones. And it's interesting because you make the person reading the story feel like, so this is what it's like to be a struggling musician. So this is what it's not all these glorious things like, yeah, I'm a rock star. I got groupies. I got everyone wanting me. You talked about the day-to-day grind. I'm in this band. Well, wait a minute. This guy's acting like a jerk and he wants to take full control. He's not giving me any equal say. Well, these guys have better songs. Well, these guys are more talented. These guys have the record deal. Where am I going? I don't want to spoil it, but there are a lot of stuff in there that you can, as the reader, you're going to want to picture yourself. Did he make the right choice? Nah, I would have done this. I would have went to this band. I would have done this. I found myself kind of questioning which role I would have taken. And there were a lot of interesting bands along the way. Some of them have albums out there, because I think you listed recently a discography, right, of some of those bands, because some of those albums are out there. And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to get us to ZO2. But from what I read the book, and I remember, I didn't know much about you or your music career. The way you described it, I'm going to say this because it's one of those Tommy Zeus moments. Save it, save it. You're hearing this for the first time. The way you described the band, I thought ZO2 was going to be one of those throwaway stops that you had along the way, because you didn't seem like too impressed with their music. There are other bands that you talked about in this book that you're like, oh, these guys had awesome songs. We can make it. And then it just didn't work. And with, Paulie and David, you just like, yeah, we'll see how this goes. Yeah, he's all right. Well, Jesus, this guy's a numbskull. So I didn't realize that these guys end up being the band that you're really known for, really. And it was for me because, again, I didn't know. So reading it and getting to that point and seeing how you described it, I think you didn't describe them. I think you sold those guys and your band pretty short.
It's amazing that you say that, because, again, as I'm writing it, I'm just telling my story. I'm not writing it to tell a good book or what's the captivating story of ZO2 or here's how ZO2 became, the phenomenon that it was. No, I just wrote it chronologically of what I was thinking at the time as I was going through the points in my life. And it's funny. I think I even quoted in the book. There's a Rolling Stone song. You can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. And it fits so perfectly in my book because I struggled and had so many bands throughout my career. And, obviously we're fast forwarding. I'm a drummer now. I'm pursuing my career in music and I'm trying all these different bands. And I'm not thinking, musicians are reading my book. I'm not writing it for that purpose. I'm just writing what I did. What did I go through in my career to get to where I am? And it's so appreciative to me that I hear other musicians or even just fans or people relate to all that stuff and hear the struggle and hear the different aspects of my career that I went through to get to where I am. And sometimes you don't realize the best thing you have until much later. So you're in a band and sometimes at the time you think it's the best thing in the world. Where in relation, it's not. And sometimes the opposite happens. Sometimes you're doing something just because you just want to keep playing. And for something like ZO2, I was in that for a short period of time early on in my career, and I didn't realize that it was going to do anything. I was just doing it because I wanted to do an original project, and I just wanted to keep playing my drums, and I loved more than anything playing my drums. And that was the thing that was in front of me at the time. And at that time, there were two things. Again, you know this in my book. I was on a record label with this other band, and there was also ZO2. And this other band that was on Wind Up Records had all my attention. And they were going to be the next big thing. They were going to be the next Creed, the next big Essence. And they were all my focus. And ZO2 was literally just a side project that I was doing and I was recording with that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the guys and they were goofballs, but I never really thought much of it. And it wasn't until I was forced to give up that record deal, and you'll see it in the book why I give it up, why I give it up and the hard times that I went through to give that record deal up, that I took ZO2 and I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do 100%. And this is what I'm going to pursue 100% of my effort and time into. And it wasn't until that happened that I realized this is the golden goose.
Those parts of your book, those journeys, those ups and downs parts, to me, I found those the most riveting parts of the book. Going through all that section of you, from being like a 16-year-old kid until you got to ZO2. And all that, the labor of love that you had, I thought that was so well put together, and it was a realistic depiction. I mean, I don't really have anything to kind of base on because I'm not a musician, but just as a fan, I thought that was one of my all those stories, those journeys, those A to B, A to Z sections of the book. I thought were terrific until you finally landed, with ZO2, and we'll get into what happened with ZO2 because that's some ZO2 had a cool run for a little bit there.
Yeah, and you had some, and let me just wrap this up. I'm curious to ask you. So I'm trying to list them here real quick. Seventh Heaven, Exposed, Sinister Charm, Playground, Creation, Menace. Wasn't there something else too? L'Amour? No, that was a moment.
That was a club.
That was a club.
Valentine Smith.
Valentine Smith. Of all those, which one do you think was the most, I don't know, you're most proud of, the best band, best music?
Again, it's all different. What I'm most proud of, the most fun I had was with my boys in Playground when I first started. But probably the best music was, and even though it was outdated at the time, was with my band Exposed. They were so talented. My friend Scott Cahajas, that was on guitar, was probably still the best guitar player I've ever played with in my life. And I played with some amazing guitar players, from guys in TSO to, Eric Martin and all these bands that I've been in throughout my life, that this guy in Exposed was so talented that we were just a little late to the scene. You know, we were Skid Row 3 years after Skid Row came out. So we were just a little late to the scene. And unfortunately, we almost got signed to Atlantic Records, but as the story's been told, Nirvana came out and destroyed that scene. So it just so happens that's with the way my career went. But I want to thank you guys so much for complimenting on me on that part of the book, because again, as I'm writing this book, I'm thinking that's the part of the book nobody will give a shit about, because everyone wants to hear ZO2, the Kiss story, Z-Rock, you know, with, you know, Dave Navarro and Sebastian Bach and all these stars and Joan Rivers. I'm thinking everyone will want to hear that. And really, that's only the second half of the book. It's really split into two. It's the first half of my career, and then ZO2 on is my second half of my career. So it's funny that I really believe that most of the compliments and reviews that I've gotten are from the first half, which amazes me, and I love it.
And I think that might be, and I think that's because it's a lot of the unknown stuff. You know, like people know ZO2, people know Z-Rock, people know, you know, they might not know it well, but they're familiar with it. But this stuff, nobody, you know, we didn't know this, and I think that's what makes. I mean, don't get me wrong, the whole book is terrific, but I think some of those stories kind of grabbed us a little bit more, you know, until you got to ZO2, and you know, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and so for the people that are listening, we are a Kiss podcast, so you know, we might be able to get Brad Pitt on this show to talk about Brad Pitt's career, and it might be exciting. We got Brad Pitt, but this is still a Kiss podcast. Believe me, there's plenty of Kiss stories in this book. We find this fascinating, and that's the thing that you guys out there will find fascinating. You'll get your Kiss fix in this book, because Kiss is everywhere in this book. But you're going to
the way I like to describe it, it's really a Kiss fan's book. It's a Kiss fan story.
Absolutely.
I'm a Kiss fan at heart, and I just happen to follow my own dreams. But along the way, every single thing I do in this book is Kiss related, whether it's the TV show, the tour with Kiss, seeing Kiss for the first time, everything always relates back to Kiss.
Yeah, and you got a great story, and there's a lot of fascinating things that happen. So you're not a Kiss fan that talks about him going to get an oil change on Tuesday, and then he got a haircut on Wednesday, and this is him eating some Kiss cereal. Oh, interesting. But anyways, Tommy gets it.
I get
it. Anyways, let's move on. So your thing with ZO2, I believe, developed because you were in what became a Kiss cover band. And tell us about the Kiss cover band and how you got that and became ZO2.
So again, continuing the story, I was in bands throughout my career, and you know, now I'm in my early 20s, and I'm on small record labels, and I'm dealing with the business of the music business, and I'm getting burnt out, you know, doing clubs and recording and contracts and lawyers and all the ins and outs of the music business, that I'm really starting to lose my passion and joy for playing my drums, which is really what it started at. And what I decided to do was, I was in this band called Valentine Smith, and we were on a small record label, and we were selling really good. We had songs on the WB network and Nash Bridges and Charmed and all these shows, and we were doing really well, but it was sucking the fun out of my music career. And I decided, in the meantime, while I'm doing this, I want to get back to doing something that I love. And I really didn't know what it was. So I started looking, like many people did back in the day, looked in the newspapers and the Village Voice and all these music papers back in the day to see any kind of ads that would be out there looking for a drummer. And it just so happens the first day that I was looking and I decided to do this, I saw an ad that said, Kiss Tribute Band looking for drummer to be Eric Carr in Kiss Tribute Band. And I just saw this ad. I said, I mean, again, if you've read my book,
yep,
Eric Carr is my idol, and he's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today. And even though Peter Criss is the person that got me started, Eric Carr is what I've really grew up on. And when I saw this ad, I said, this is fate. There's a reason why I looked at this today, and I saw this ad, and I said, this is something I have to at least look into. And sure enough, I answered the ad, met the guys in this band called Kiss Nation, went down for an audition. The guy made me learn 36 Kiss songs, which I already knew most of them anyway. And, you know, I had an audition. I knew Eric Carr's parts by heart from the Animalized Uncensored video, or whether it was Creatures of the Night, or, you know, I knew Eric Carr's licks live to all Peter Criss's songs by heart. So when I went down to the audition, I knew I would nail it. I was so confident. And sure enough, I got the part. And the singer of that band in Kiss Nation was a guy named Paulie Z. And it turned out that he and I would later on with his brother form ZO2. So it's funny how, like I said earlier, everything leads back to Kiss. I wanted to get out of the business aspect of the music business. I found the Kiss tribute band. We played hundreds of shows and did all this fun stuff. We even did a film and a special for VH1. But you know, it led back, all this fun led back to the music business again with ZO2.
And I got to tell you, just real quick before we move on, you were uncanny looking like Eric Carr. The pictures, because the book has tons of amazing pictures. When you were in the full gear with the makeup, it was unbelievable. That was amazing. And I find, and like you said, what are the odds that there is a Kiss cover band who wants Eric Carr, not Peter Criss? I mean, it's perfect.
That's like our friends in Australia, right? They have a cover band. What's the name again?
Kissteria. Yep. They have a Kiss cover band, and their drummer is Eric Carr. Yep.
And they became big fans of the show. We've been communicating with them. Yep. And they have the Eric Carr too. So a couple quick things on that. So you become Eric Carr. You meet Eric Singer at a convention, and he gives Paulie some shit. And I found that funny. I don't know if you want to. We should hold that for somebody to read the story in the book. I'll leave that out there. You people pick it up. It's a great, funny story, and I guess Paulie got a little sensitive about it, and they don't have that sense of humor and able to take the punch like you can. And then that whole Kiss cover thing band got you your first introduction to Kiss, correct?
Right. So, you know, with the Kiss cover band, Kiss Nation, we filmed a show for VH1 called Mock Rock. And it was supposed to be a tribute to, you know, tribute bands across the country. And it was to show what went into really putting on one of these tribute shows. And obviously back in the day in Kiss Nation, this was, you know, 2000, 2001, 2002, you know, we were doing the full Creatures of the Night show. We had the full tank. We would build, and I know it sounds ridiculous, we would build it every night on stage with us. We would have pyro. We would have pinwheels. We would have all this stuff before the unfortunate tragedy at the nightclub in the station fire.
Yeah,
and we would do all of this stuff, and they literally followed us 24/7. And filmed us what went into putting on this show every night. And you wouldn't believe it. Still to this day, being in that Kiss tribute band was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my career. It was, one show was a 24-hour ordeal. It was waking up, you know, 8 a.m., traveling, whether, you know, 10 hours to the venue, putting all the gear up on stage, building the drum riser, putting your makeup on, taking your makeup off, doing a 2.5 hour set, because we would do a crazy, you know, a set with all rarities and all the Kiss classics. And it would just be an ordeal over a 24-hour period that VH1 captured this on film. And you can go on my YouTube page and you can see the episode of Mock Rock. Yep. And the end of that season of Mock Rock, that episode, it turned out that they surprised us, that they flew us to LA and we were going to put on a concert for VH1, and we were going to just play a concert for the release of our video. And we had no idea that Gene and Paul were actually going to be at the show. And sure enough, Gene and Paul were watching us perform. And it wasn't until the last two songs, Lick It Up and Rock and Roll All Night, that we saw the spotlights go on Gene and Paul in the balcony, and they were watching us.
Oh my
It was
God.
the first time any of us had ever met Gene and Paul live or seen Gene and Paul in person. And not only to see them, again, when you meet your idols and you say, oh my God, I'm such a fan of you, how are you? That's one thing. But when you see them for the first time and they're watching you perform your craft and doing their material, it's so surreal that I could never even explain it. And when I saw Gene and Paul watch us and not only watch us, but talk to us for an hour afterwards and tell us how great we were and how amazing I was, they told me, as Eric, singing Beth and singing Black Diamond and playing the drums. It was one of the best moments in my life. So that was my introduction to Gene and Paul.
How did Gene introduce himself, Tom?
This is Gene Simmons from Kiss.
From Kiss.
The way you tell that story in the book, and again, we want people to buy the book and read it. But the way you tell that story, like I was like jealous of you that you got just because like you're Eric Carr, you're in a Kiss band, you're kicking ass, and then you see Paul and Gene like what my head was like exploding with what that experience must have been like, and you just conveyed that kind of that emotion. It was just awesome to read. It's just great stuff in the whole book. I mean, we don't want to give the whole book away, of course, but it's just exciting to talk about some of this cool stuff.
Yeah, and so both bands are going on. You're in ZO2 and the Kiss cover band. ZO2 finally gets to a point where you're actually releasing albums. Correct. You got the record label. I believe did you guys help me out? How did you guys do your albums again?
So during the time I'm still in Kiss Nation and with the singer of Kiss Nation, Paulie Z and his brother David Z, we're doing our own project called ZO2 at the time. And again, I'm not thinking that much of it. And we record a full length album, which at the time I was against. We're talking 2003 here or 2002, and to fund a full length album at that time rather than just a demo was absurd to me. I didn't see a need for it. It just seemed ridiculous to me. So these two guys, bless their hearts, funded the whole record on their credit cards, almost $40,000 to record the record, pay the producers, get all the tracks done, everything. We had a full length record, legit CD ready for release. And it turned out that our manager at the time got it to Paul Stanley, who was a friend of his. And again, the stars aligned. At the time, Kiss was ready to do the Rock the Nation tour. And Nikki Sixx's band at the time, Brides of Destruction, was scheduled to do the tour with Poison and Kiss. And I still don't know to this day the exact reason why they were pulled off the tour. But all I know was, thankfully, they were yanked off the tour last minute. And they had an opening slot. And Paul had our CD in his house or whatever it was. He got in touch with us and he said, "Hey guys, you guys want to do 40 dates with us, across the nation and do this tour with us?" And obviously I shit my pants and my mind exploded. I didn't even know what to say.
I just sharted. I don't know what that means. I tried to fart and a little shit came out. I just sharted. Right, now let's go. You're the most disgusting person I've ever met in my life.
I thought it was fake. I had no idea that this could really be happening. At this point, you got to understand, we're an unsigned band. We released this CD on our own, through our own money, no label. Kiss is now taking an unsigned band, and at the time, and probably even until now, has never done such a thing. We were an unsigned band, and they took us on the road with them and Poison, and we did the full Rock the Nation tour with them. And it was unprecedented. We had no CD in stores. We would sell out every night at the concerts at the venue, but we had no CD in whatever stores, Best Buy at that time. We had no record label. So it was such an unprecedented thing that we were experiencing this, and it was blowing our minds at every moment.
And talking about a weird full circle or stars aligning or however you want to say it, the fact that Zeus and I are doing a Kiss podcast right now in 2020 and having you, Joey Cassata, on it in 2020, when in 2004, you performed for us. We were at the Rock the Nation show in Mansfield, Massachusetts for that Kiss Poison ZO2 show. So you think about, if you want to kind of get weird with things lining up and things coming full circle, like, you performed for us, and now we're here talking about that performance. If that doesn't kind of melt your brain a little bit in terms of how the Kiss Army brings everybody together, I just think it's for me, selfishly, and I know Zeus, it's just an awesome story for you and for us, I think, too.
I still have my CD.
Yep, me too.
Kiss Rock the Nation CD from Mansfield. And you might remember, because Paul may have come back after the show and be like, hey, in the middle of, I was singing this song, I Want You, there was this eruption of odor that came throughout the stadium. And so be careful out there. Yeah, that was the infamous I Want You episode for us, where I unfortunately destroyed about a circumference about 300 square feet at least, maybe the size of a football field, where I had a whole audience turning around going, what the fuck?
People were probably wishing for the coronavirus back then instead of that.
Yeah, awful.
That might have been the start of the coronavirus right there.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It was bad. But yeah, and then you have great stories, obviously, and this is, again, I don't want to give away the good stuff. I like discussing.
Give it away.
But hold on. I want to discuss things with you that people don't know even better that make them want to buy your book. They're going to get great stories about Kiss, the tour with Kiss, your conversations with Gene, the wiffle ball games that you think you can actually throw a wiffle ball pretty decently. You can't. But like those kind of stories, they will get all of this. And I want them to feel like not only am I going to get this, but also there are all these wonderful stories of, you're overcoming all the odds, your family life, your friends growing up, the crazy Catholic school stories. All that will be included in the book to give them more of an incentive. But obviously there's some great stories in there about Kiss on the tour of the Rock the Nation tour. And, you getting them to play some wiffle ball with you. And that looks like, I've got to say it, the least masculine looking baseball stance I've ever seen in my life by Kiss. Holy fuck.
That's another thing. The pictures, as I'm flipping through the book, I'm like, I can't believe Joey has pictures of all of this. Like that just makes it even better. Like you telling the wiffle ball story and then seeing Paul Stanley trying to hold a bat.
like the kid in floor hockey in gym that doesn't know if he's a lefty or righty. Like,
again, the only thing I regret, we're talking 2004, the Rock the Nation tour, iPhones and video phones weren't as prominent then. So, we're talking about holding a video camera, trying to capture some of the events of this tour. And like I said, we literally spent every day with these guys for 3 months. And, me coming into this as a uber fan, just like you guys, just like everyone listening, can you imagine not only sharing this, sharing the stage with them every night was in itself mind-blowing and crazy, but just, waking up in the morning and walking out of, our bus and hanging out with Gene and eating cookies in the morning and hanging out with lunch, and the everyday grind of living with these guys for 3 months was really the stuff that my book goes into detail about and shows that they're just regular people. And to be around these guys every day, whether it's wiffle ball or, having lunch or whatever it is, debate hour with Gene, whatever we were doing every day was so just surreal. Every moment of that tour was a Kiss fan's dream come true.
Yeah. Yeah. I again, it's there for all you guys that are interested. Please take a look. You're going to love it. And then in continuation with the band and stuff, you guys get the wonderful offer about, doing the TV show based upon your lives, which is you played in this rock band, but the other guys would do some like kid show. And I remember at the time, around this time, I'll be honest with you, my daughter used to watch, was it Nick Jr.? And they would always have, there was a show called Jack's Big Music Show. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember.
My daughter, I used to watch that constantly with them. And there would be these like rock band group that would play kid songs. And you could tell they had Gibson guitars and stuff. And you'd be like, Jesus, I bet you these guys are rock guys and they can't do anything, but they're playing kid bands. And then your story comes out. You guys were doing the same thing, and it becomes a TV show. So you want to talk to us about how Z-Rock kind of got started?
So again, it's funny. During that Kiss tour, again, we're an unsigned band. We're selling CDs. Believe it or not, most people think we paid on that tour, which a lot of bands did back in the day. At the same time, I think there was a band called Silverchair that was on tour with Van Halen, and they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, their record label, to be on tour with Van Halen.
Wow.
We didn't pay to be on tour with Kiss. Wow. Believe it or not, Kiss actually gave us a small amount, which was very small, but it was enough to kind of get us going every night. They gave us a couple $100 or $1,000, whatever it was. I don't want to go into exact details every show. So we actually got paid to do those shows, but it still wasn't enough to float the boat for the whole tour, the travel and the expenses and, the RV, which we rented for the summer and, the hotels and, it costs, we did 20,000 miles just in gas alone. We probably didn't cover it. So to pay the bills, the three of us, beforehand and after, and even a little bit during the tour, we were doing kids' birthday parties and kids' bar mitzvahs and kids, communions. And we would be the Wiggles version of a rock band version of the Wiggles. And we would do these shows. And we already had a kind of name in the New York area in the Upper East Side, which was a kind of ritzy area in New York. And we did Robert De Niro's kid's birthday, and we did, local newscasters' birthday party. So we were kind of well known already before the Kiss tour, and we were kind of demanding pretty good money at this point. So we were known as the Z Brothers, which the two members of my band were Paulie and David Z. And we would do these kids shows around town. So to pay for most of that Kiss tour, what people don't realize is we did kids entertainment. And it just so happens when we got off the tour, we were still doing this, of course, to pay the bills. You're going to get paid a lot more doing a kid's birthday party, believe it or not, than playing a rock and roll concert. We would play a rock and roll concert and lose, $300-400, and we would do a kid's birthday party and make $1,000. So it was so crazy. And, it just so happens that, we were doing a kid's birthday party, and this guy walked up to us and said, "Hey, you guys don't look like the Wiggles. You guys look like a rock and roll band." And, we went into the whole story. Well, we just toured with Kiss, and, we're actually playing Times Square, BB King's tonight. You should come and check us out. We're just looking for another body in the audience. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And the guy winds up coming, and it turns out that he's an agent for a big agency called William Morris. And anyone who knows anything about the entertainment business, William Morris represents every actor or musician out there. Pretty much everyone. There's a couple of big agencies. William Morris and CAA pretty much have the monopoly on the agency business. And this guy just happened to be in the TV division. And we had no idea. We said, "Oh, we hope you can get us, another tour like the Kiss tour." And this guy was like, "Well, I'm not in the tour business. I'm in the TV division." So we said, "Well, why don't we do a TV show? We don't know what the fuck we're talking about. We're bullshitting our way through it." And sure enough, the guy liked the aspect of the Clark Kent Superman thing of us being a kids entertainment band during the day and a crazy rock and roll band with groupies, taking their shirts up at night. He said, "Let's do something." And sure enough, 6 months later, we're shopping this show to network about us being a kids band and a rock band at night. We wind up getting picked up for a season.
And the show is, again, anybody that's listening to this show, if I didn't like it, I would probably be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool," and move on. I'm telling you, Joey, I'll full disclosure, I wasn't 100%, familiar with the show. I started watching it. I didn't realize how goddamn funny it is. Like I really didn't. I didn't know it was going to be that kind of show. And today, I watched the Jericho episode, and I'm fucking dying, like literally dying. And I got to tell you, as much as you and the Z Brothers and Jericho were, that particular episode, the hidden gem in that episode was fucking Jim Norton. That episode was hilarious. And the premiere episode, just like you said, an awesome concept for a TV show. Hilarious. It was picked up. It was on IFC. There was the DVDs were released for purchase. Other than YouTube, can the show is it anywhere else? Is it on any streaming services? Can anybody find it? I mean, I know it's easily accessible on YouTube, but is it anywhere else right now, or do you have plans on it being, Netflix or Hulu or anything like that?
It's funny you mentioned the Jericho episode. I'm actually texting him. He just texted me as we're talking.
Oh no shit!
He said, tell those guys to mention my books. I said, no, they told me that they hate you. So he's texting me right now as he talks.
That is awesome.
But yeah, so
he's right here. What are you talking about?
No, that's good Jericho. That's 90s Jericho.
That's my 90s Jericho doll that's on my shoulder.
So yes, Z-Rock you can watch, via YouTube right now. It was on the IFC network. And because it was originally purchased by the Stars Network, there's a lot of legality issues when it comes to the show. And people don't realize the ins and outs of the legality of TV shows. So it was on Amazon Prime for a long time streaming. It's not available right now on Prime. I think it's probably going to come back eventually. It's not on Netflix right now. You can see it all on my YouTube channel. If you just type in Z-Rock, Chris Jericho, or Z-Rock anything, you'll find episodes of Z-Rock on YouTube. So you can see both seasons, 20 episodes on YouTube right now.
I mean, the characters, the writing, it really is like, it's just a funny friggin' show. And if we talk about a show that's under the radar for people, just you got to check it out because it is good.
Yeah, I will say, fucking lawyers, huh? They're all lawyers. Ruin everything, right?
Bastards.
Yeah. So. Same thing with Tom. Didn't know about it. Finished your book. I had a hunger to learn more. And you'll find people, after you read this book, you're going to want to know more about Joey. You're going to want to start listening to some of the music. You're going to want to watch some Z-Rock. I finished all 10 episodes every season, 2 seasons, 10 episodes, 20 episodes Z-Rock. I got them all on Joey's YouTube channel for now. And it's Cassata, Satta Entertainment. I went there. I saw all 10. I liked it. I commented. That's what everybody should do. Go on his show, promote it. He deserves it. I can't tell you. I'm like Tom. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it'd be I'll take a look at this. I got hooked. It's one of those things like I wish I would be able to be like, shit, I'd get on a fan page and start like promoting it. They should have season 3. Fucking hilarious. The writing on that was so like, I can't believe how like a lot of the episodes, you went there.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? On certain stuff, you went there, whether it means a very kind of politically incorrect joke.
Yep.
Tits. Yeah, yep. Guys, they're tits. Like insults galore, like the shit that the banter between the kids. And it's not Paul Stanley in fucking Phantom of the Park acting. No. You guys actually can act, and it's actually pretty good. It's, and there's no aspect of this you think that these guys like look like, oh my God, this just looks like somebody just grabbed the musician like, hey, play this part in my movie, and it just doesn't fit. You guys play it perfectly. You have some, maybe A- guys. You have some B guys, actors that come on, but it only makes it even better. Absolutely. I think it'd be even more awkward if it was bigger. I love the whole thing. Like the whole fucking John Popper. I never liked the guy, but he makes me like him that he's such a self-deprecating humor that he can make fun of himself that much and be on the show. Joan Rivers was fucking hilarious.
Oh, it was awesome. Yep.
That character, Neil, the shit he would do with Paulie, every fucking episode, those like gay come-ons he would do to him, hilarious. Every episode, there was one that I would say, there isn't one episode I would say, oh, that one's kind of bad. 10 episodes, 10 gems, one better than the next. But if I know I'm kind of biased here, I will say the wrestler episode.
Oh God, that was awesome.
The whole misunderstanding with you and your fucking violence on something with Jericho, and that whole argument you guys had at the end.
Okay, listen, I'm sorry that I screwed up your song. I tried my best, man. I'm sorry, okay?
Chris, I mean, you really brought the violence.
Yeah, sure. I get what you're saying, right? Listen, I don't need to take advice from the drummer in a kid's band, okay?
Whoa, whoa.
You don't even have a drum set.
Well,
you
I'm
got
sorry.
a tambourine.
I'm sorry if a Canadian couldn't understand how I was talking. Maybe I should say it in French. I'll lock kick your ass.
Okay, so you're a racist,
All right?
too.
I'm not racist. I just
Really?
don't like you anymore.
Really? You want to fracas?
Yeah, you want to throw hands? Let's go.
Or are you going to hit me with that schnoz? It's like
Come
a
on.
plantain stuck in the middle of your face.
You wanna
Grandfather's
go,
watch.
Joey? Listen,
I don't
come
want to
on,
get blood
bring
on
it.
that.
You
Want to
wanna
bring
go?
the vodka?
Yeah,
to
let's
show you
go.
some vodka?
That was awesome. I can't believe actually Chris looks awesome acting in that. That looked like a real fight. And you know what's cool about your characters? You were always the fucking like you lost that Italian temper of yours. No problem whether it meant fucking something up for the band or not. Like, you would always say what you meant. Like I would think your character in the show would be like the sex fiend crazy drummer or the idiot drummer. That's not your character on the show. It's really kind of based on real life, right? You guys kind of acted this stuff out and told some stories from what I understand and based a lot of the dialogue and storylines about real life stuff, right?
Again, the show is completely semi-scripted, and what I mean by that is when we shopped the show and we were promoting the show to networks and stuff, it's a cross between, the best way to describe it is a cross between Curb Your Enthusiasm and Spinal Tap. And what I mean by that is and if anyone doesn't know this, the show Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David on HBO is not a scripted show.
Right.
And what semi-scripted means is there's a rough outline of the premise of the episode. And then the actors, which is what we did, would kind of bring you from scene to scene with our own dialogue. So something like the Chris Jericho episode, the Z Wrestler, I won't say that, but there might be a trivia question later.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if anyone's listening.
With the wrestling episode in season 2, we knew the premise of the episode. We knew, okay, we were going to dress as wrestlers and perform at a kid's birthday party, and this wrestler, Chris Jericho, was going to be on. And we knew the premise was going to be, I was going to fanboy out and kind of figure out a way to over-the-top fanboy him, and then at the end, of course, just like every episode, we self-sabotage and it turns sour on us.
It's so
and,
good.
you know, we didn't know exactly how that was going to happen until we got on set. There was no script written. There was no dialogue written. We just knew the overall premise. Here's A, here's Z. How are you going to get there? And we would literally just do take after take. And even on my YouTube page, you'll see hundreds of bloopers and stuff from all these episodes that we would just take after take after take of this dialogue. And we would just build the scene out of our own comedy. And we always used to say in interviews that it wasn't acting, it was reacting. Because when someone would say something to us, I would just say my natural response. It wouldn't be an acting response or a line that was written for me. It would be, what would Joey say if Chris Jericho said this to me right now? Or what would Joey say if Daryl Hall or Dave Navarro said this to me right now in this situation? So they would put us into these wacky situations with all these crazy celebrities, from Dave Navarro to Dee Snider to Daryl Hall to Joan Rivers to Chris Jericho to Frank Stallone. And we would be thrust into these situations, and they would kind of feed some of these guys dialogue and to say to us, and we would just react naturally. And it just built the episode like that.
And I think you could see that. And I think that's what makes Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's why it has that kind of a feel. And I think that's what makes your show funny is like you said, you're not reading rehearsed lines. It's all like organic, and you can see that reaction among the actors, like that, like the dynamics is like, it's a natural dynamic, and you can feel that. And I'm glad I discovered the show, because it really is enjoyable for sure. That's another thing that you should be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of similar to what we do here, buddy. We have a script, a little bit, like an outline, organization. This is what we talk about. I have no idea what the fuck he's going to say. And like we say, our inside joke is save it. Don't talk about it. Save it for the episode. And, you know, we didn't talk about what we're going to say with you. Who knows where it's going to go.
the thing I like about your show, and again, I listen to so many podcasts, so many KISS podcasts, but the thing I like about your show is that, like you just said, it obviously people are tuning in to hear KISS stuff, right?
Yeah.
KISS stories and KISS happenings and KISS news, blah, blah, blah. But you could hear that anywhere. Personality is what sells shows. Personality is what sells podcasts. So when people tune into you and the great guests that you get, they come on because they love your personality, even with that disgusting Boston accent. They
disgusting
love,
Boston accent, Boston. But okay,
they love the banter and the camaraderie that you guys portray. And that's what makes things great. It's not about KISS facts and KISS news, because that's boring after a while. After 5 episodes, I don't want to hear that anymore. I tune in to hear you guys, you two talk. And whatever the topic happens to be, great. It doesn't matter what the topic is. That's what makes this show fun. And that's what kind of made my show Z-Rock fun. It didn't matter what the episodes are about or the show is about. It was about this weird camaraderie that this crazy band ZO2 had together, that we created this comedy just on set every day. And that's even why the show got picked up. We just, when we pitched the show to IFC, we went in and we were ourselves. We were goofy bastards, and they were trying to sell us this $1 million idea. And we were over in the corner, not listening to them, eating donuts. We didn't give a shit. And that's kind of what sold the show. So it's the same thing. It's the natural personalities of people always come through, and is what people want to hear. They don't want to hear fake and put on.
Yeah. And a couple other things I want to get to before we move on to a couple other things we have set up for the show. And that is, at some point, unfortunately, the show ended. You put out your 3rd album. You put out 3 albums with Z-Rock. And eventually you guys all went your separate ways. You did some stints with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, correct?
Correct. Which is awesome.
Yep. And you've also landed on Broadway, which is part of your story, which is, it says a drummer's journey from rock and roll to TV to Broadway. And you ended up on Broadway. You want to tell us real quickly about that? How you ended up there, and if there's any more in lined up for your future?
Of course. So, after Z-Rock ended, ZO2 continued for years, and, we kept going, and we toured the country, and we did, lots of big concerts and tours and stuff like that. And we were still having a great time. But at that time in my life, I had just had my daughter, and it was hard for me to tour the country so much anymore. And it was just something where that, something like touring and being on the road constantly was something that it was just getting harder for me to do. So I was looking for other avenues to pursue my musical career. And, I always, like I said, like you said earlier, Dave, my bass player, was in a band called Trans-Siberian Orchestra. He was the touring bass player for that band. Yep. I just happened to be the backup drummer for them for years at this point. So I would never tour with them, but just in case they needed me, I was always on call. I was on retainer. And one of the musicians in that band in the backup band with me, named Or Matias, was starting a show on Broadway. And he asked me if I was interested. And it was something that I was looking to get into for a long time, but the Broadway community is so hard to break into. It's just a tight niche community of musicians that to be able to get in there, you have to know someone to get in. So it just so happens that this guy was a music director on one of the new shows that were opening called The Great Comet. And he asked me to be the drummer on it. And I went down, tried out, got the gig. And sure enough, we did a 3-year run. Josh Groban was the star of the show. Josh Groban, he's superstar. And we did a 3-year run on Broadway. It was an amazing experience in my life. It was great because it was so different than doing the rock gigs and the touring. It was the gratification of playing live every night, but yet I had a sold-out show. I never had to set up my gear. I never had to travel with gear. I never had to travel at all. And I would sleep in my bed the same every night with my family. So it was my worlds combining, making this perfect opportunity for me. And at that time, I live in New Jersey now, and I was traveling to Manhattan every night. And that's actually the time that I wrote the book we've been speaking about the whole time. I actually wrote the book traveling back and forth from my Broadway gig for 3 years. And just on the bus with my laptop or even on my notes app on my phone, I would jot down stories throughout my life, and it just became this book.
How awesome is that?
Very cool. Very cool stuff.
So just to kind of summarize, obviously we'll get into what you're doing now, but I will tell you this. The story is basically a feel-good story. There are 3 points I texted you, I think, each time that the book brought tears to my eye.
Oh yeah.
You lost 3 people in the story, amongst many that you actually lost in your life in the story. But the 3 that get to me the most, your poor dog, your mom, and I didn't know about David.
Me neither.
So when I read that, my heart dropped at the end of this, because I figured when I read this book, you'd tell me some stories about you guys. Oh yeah, we got a gig coming up or something like that. So can you imagine for me reading that, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I had to end up looking up, going to see his Facebook page, reading more about him, and then taking a second look. And then when I start watching, at what you were saying and reading about him, and then watching Z-Rock more closely.
Yep.
And he seemed like such a character and a happy kind of go lucky guy. Obviously a good looking guy, got a lot of the ladies, and that was his character on the show. So I'm assuming that was a little bit similar to how he was in real life.
That was definitely real life. And that was easily the hardest part of the book that I wrote, even though, my mom and stuff, losing my mom, I knew that going into writing the book, that part was going to come up, and it was so hard to write. And the audiobook was even harder. But with the stuff with David, that actually happened right towards the end of me writing the book. Yeah, so I actually had to go back and insert that part into the book, into the timeline, and kind of weirdly close that chapter in a way I never thought was going to be done in the book. I was ending that chapter in a different note in the original version of the book. But then when David passed away in 2017, right as I was finishing writing the book, I had to rethink everything. And I didn't go back and change stories before that, and I didn't go back and change my portrayal of him or his brother, because I didn't think that would be genuine. All I did was I had to add in the obviously the tragedy that happened. And for people who don't know, he was on tour with his new band Adrenaline Mob, and he was off the side of the road, and his RV at the time got clipped by a truck, and he lost his life. And it was something, I could still see the day in the day in my memory that was so vivid, talking to his brother and his family. And Jeff Scott Soto was actually the one that called me to tell me the actual finality of his passing. And it was just such a heartbreaking story to tell in the book. And again, in the audiobook was even harder. So it was just such a weird thing to do after telling all these funny stories of Z-Rock. And like you said, this goofy guy is a ladies' man throughout the whole book, and fun stories of him throughout the stories. And then having to kind of button this with this tragedy was heartbreaking.
And it was amazing reading that, because it was such a gut punch, not seeing it coming. And it was weird because I was familiar with Adrenaline Mob, not, I didn't know a ton about them, but I knew who they were. And it took me, that section of the book reminded me of when that happened, because I remember that incident happening. I didn't know who the person was who was killed, but I remember that was kind of a big, unfortunate event in the rock world, because Adrenaline Mob was kind of a band on the scene at the time. And then when you explained it that he was in Adrenaline Mob, I was like, Jesus Christ, I remember that incident happening, but obviously I didn't know at the time who it was until you kind of explained it. And it was that, like Zeus said, that was that was very, very, very sad to read, and condolences to you for losing such an important person in your life.
Yeah. The other thing I asked off the record before we started, I asked you, hey, do you still talk to Paulie Z? And what did you say?
Of course. I mean, obviously, Paulie and I are still great friends. Paulie's out in L.A. He lives out and he's been out in L.A. for a couple of years now, but we're still in touch constantly. And obviously, this tragedy weirdly brought us even closer. And, we're doing tribute concerts all the time for David, and we're doing memorial concerts. And he has a foundation for David right now through a college that we support all the time. And, we're constantly in touch doing stuff like that and keeping David's and ZO2's memory alive. So, yes, if anything, I'm closer to Paulie now than I've ever been.
That's great. And Paulie does a little bit. Not only did he play Paul Stanley in a cover band, but Paulie plays Paul Stanley in his Facebook Live videos where he's part-time rocker and part-time cook, as we documented in our Backstage Pass review, which is our probably most listened to episode because people loved how we bashed poor Paul Stanley and his cooking. First, you boil the water.
Yeah, I think that was the episode where people finally figured out what kind of podcast we are after that episode.
But
Paulie's a good cook. Good for him.
Yeah, but people don't want to hear, the Kiss ass. I love everything Kiss does. I love Paul Stanley.
Right.
Oh my God, did you see the way he wiped his ass tonight? It was perfect. That's not what people don't want to hear that. People want to hear true guys talking about the band that they love.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're going to hate you and disagree with everything you say, and sometimes they're going to love everything you say. And that's what the greatest things about Kiss fans are. It's not about, agreeing on everything all the time. It's not about loving Vinnie Vincent or hating Vinnie Vincent. You know what I mean? It's about loving and appreciating this band every which way, that you have such a passion that you could hate something so hard like The Elder or Vinnie Vincent, or love something so much like The Elder or Vinnie Vincent. So that's the stuff that brings everyone in.
So you mean you don't want to go on a Kiss cruise and have the opportunity to ask him a question and say, Paul, what's your favorite type of pasta? Fascinating. Hey, Tommy, did you have any odd jobs growing up while you were a youth? Oh, fascinating. I have their attention, and that's the fucking Kiss ass question I'm going to ask. I mean,
we spoke. I don't know if we spoke about this off air or we were already recording. That's the type of stuff that Kiss is missing the boat on.
Oh,
Kiss is so corporate and controlled. That's the only questions that they'll accept. They don't want to. They don't want you to ask them about, Eric Carr's death or, when you guys are doing the conventions tour, were you bankrupt at that time? They don't want to answer those questions. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear that stuff. All they want to know is, we're the greatest. Ask me about my pasta and move on.
Nailed it. Yep.
Anyways, Joey, honestly, we could do a part 2 of this book.
Right.
But the best way I think we can do something about this book is to promote it. And guys, we're telling you, you are going to love this book like we did. We wouldn't give this much time to somebody and talk about his book and his story if we didn't believe in it. If we didn't actually think that his story is that interesting. You know us. We don't fucking give foot rubs to anybody. We fell in love with this book. And I think, that anybody picks this thing up will agree. So what Joey decided to do for us today was to offer a couple free copies of the book. So we came up with something to make this not just as easy as a slam dunk as email us, but we're saying email us and tell us, this is kind of a quiz question, what is the episode title on season 2 of Z-Rock with Chris Jericho? Am I correct?
And you can email us at shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. And Joey will give away one printed copy of the book and one audio copy of the book. The only problem with the audio copy of the book is that you have to listen to his voice read the book to you. So I don't know if you want to win that prize, but it's still a prize. But no, we thank Joey for that cool offer.
So again, what is the title of the episode with Chris Jericho, season 2 of Z-Rock. Email us that at shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. Shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. First 2 that send us something with the correct will get a free copy audio, and one will get a hard copy book that'll be sent to you via Joey. So please send those emails in. Joey, we usually do a question after our topic, which was you. Tom, what's the question this week?
Real quick, before we get into the question, I just have one non-book thing.
Sure.
I just want you to comment on, Joey. I think it was maybe about a week ago on your social media. I think I saw on your Twitter that in conjunction with Eric Carr's family, it looks like you might be bringing his cartoon Rockheads to life. Can you just real quick talk about what's going on with that? Because that's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure if anyone knows. Obviously, Kiss fans out there probably do know, but Eric Carr was working on a cartoon animated series called The Rockheads right before he passed. And it was really a passion project of his. It was about this kid rock band that was basically taking over the world. And his sister, Loretta, contacted me years ago, and we've been developing that show ever since, from Eric's original drawings, original artwork, original storyboards, original music. We've been developing that show to bring to life, to hopefully see the light of day on network one day. And you can see the trailer online right now. It's called The Rockheads. There's original music. It's all based off of Eric's original drawings and original concepts. If you really want a grasping of it, it's basically Scooby-Doo meets the Beatles. It's what if this little kid rock band had to solve mysteries like Scooby-Doo used to do. And it's with music and Eric's original music. It's out of this world. It's one of the most original things you'll ever see. We have a trailer online. You can find it on YouTube. Just type in the Rockheads. You can find it on my YouTube channel, Cassata Entertainment, Satta Entertainment. Just type in the Rockheads. You'll see it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, we're going to get into more plugs, though. I was saying, we're going to get to more plugs and talk about more of your stuff. But, Tom, did you have another question to wrap up?
No, we can get on to the listener question if we want to get into that segment. So,
okay. What do you got, buddy?
All right. So this comes from a very big fan of the show and a very a new friend of Zeus, perhaps, and that's Mr. Gary Cap off of Facebook. Oh, thumbs down to Gary Cap from Joey. What the hell's that?
Thumbs down. No, thumbs down. No, thumbs down to Zeus fan.
Oh, I love it. All right, so we have a lot of questions that we could have gotten to, but some of them would have turned into probably 30-minute Kiss discussion. So I picked a question that can kind of be answered pretty quickly, and it'll be kind of an interesting insight to everybody. So Gary's has a desert island question. We all love these. Since 2020 has basically put all of us on a desert island with the virus, what would be the 3 albums that you can only play until this crisis is over? Now he says any artist, but sorry,
let's keep it a Kiss.
This is a Kiss podcast. 3 Kiss albums, the only ones you can listen to. Joey, you're the guest. You go first.
Wait. The lawyer has to jump in. Are we doing studio albums?
Doesn't matter.
Doing compilations.
Anything in the Kiss discography.
Oh, that changes things.
Anything in the Kiss discography.
So just so you know, my 3 albums would be Kiss albums anyway. You did not have to specify that. I mean, I'm not choosing any, So my first record would absolutely be Alive 2.
Okay.
Kiss Alive 2 is my number 1 record of all time. It's hard to, from there, it's hard to choose because, Rock and Roll Over is my favorite studio album, but I'm not sure I want to choose that because I'm going to get some repeats. So I might go Kiss Alive 2, Kiss Alive 1, which has all the first 3 albums on it, obviously. And then I'm going to probably go Creatures. So my 3 albums would probably be Kiss Alive 1, Kiss Alive 2, and Creatures of the Night.
Excellent. Okay. Zeus.
I feel like I have to do compilations because I don't want to give away my favorite albums.
Okay, good. That's okay. Go ahead.
I would see. I don't want to say fucking Double Platinum.
Why?
Because Double Platinum had some bad versions of good songs,
but it also had Disco Strutter.
But it had it had the best version of Hard Luck Woman.
That's true. Yep.
You
Okay.
get the difference in the Hard Luck Woman from Double Platinum and the album, Joey?
Of course. The drums don't come in, right?
Thank you. So, I would say I would definitely say Alive, because that cover. You're right. We're kind of cheating here. I would say Alive. I would say maybe I go Alive. This is for the quarantine's over.
3 albums.
So I'm not stuck with life with this. Maybe I would say
not.
Alive. Icons. I'm cheating.
Oh, now you're really cheating.
I mean,
Icons.
really?
Because I'm getting an album of everybody. And you know what else I would pick? Because I don't listen to it enough and I want to hear it a little more. Kiss Alive 4, the symphony.
Oh, God.
I want to try it. I want to try it more. I have the opportunity. It's only temporary. So that's the reason why I'm picking it.
Your choices are terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, I'm used to hearing that.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You picked no studio albums.
No, because I don't want to give away what my favorite albums are.
Okay. All right. Well, anybody that's been listening to this show since day one, everybody knows my favorite album is Love Gun.
I know.
So there's no surprise there. So automatically Love Gun. After that, I think I'm going to go Paul Stanley's solo album.
Okay.
And I want to take a live album, but I think
Dynasty.
No, I
thought you definitely take it.
This is a hard one for me because I kind of want to span all the eras. Like Joey didn't want to take Rock and Roll Over because a lot of that is on Alive 2. Like I would take Alive 2, but that's got almost all Love Gun. So I think I might go with Alive 3. I know that sounds crazy, but I love that's my second favorite Kiss lineup other than the original, is that Bruce Kulick, Eric Singer lineup. So I think I might go that because it's a live album and it spans a lot of their library that Alive 1 and 2 don't have, but a couple repeats, Deuce and Rock and Roll Night and stuff. So I think I'm going to go Love Gun, Paul Stanley solo, Alive 3.
But the problem I have with Joey's pick, because I got to give some shots back, Rock and Roll Over, the best songs on Rock and Roll Over, in my opinion, are not on Alive 2.
Well, I don't know about the best songs. I mean, you got I Want You on there, right? I mean,
Love Them, Leave Them, those right there. Okay, so for me, those are Baby Driver. I love those songs. What do you call it? Take Me,
dude. Yeah. You picked Alive 4. Your argument is mute.
Alive 4, so that I could hear it more and appreciate it, because I want one album that I already have Icons. So I have more songs than you guys do.
When you're on a desert island, you don't try out an album.
I'm not on a desert island. I'm not stuck for life. I'm stuck for a month.
Let me test out this Barry Manilow album while I'm deserted on this island right now.
Bad mouth and Barry Manilow. That man is a genius. Come on now.
Any questions? Yeah, I got a question. Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Barry Manilow sucks, dude. Come on.
How dare you?
Anyway, so we did that. Now, we usually go and ask Plugs. Plugs, what are you up to? Where can people find you? Where can they find your book, your shows, your music, everything else that you're doing?
I'm all over social media, like you guys said before. I'm at Joey Cassata on all the platforms, at JoeyCassata on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can find all the stuff that I'm doing on all those platforms. I'm constantly posting updates on what I'm doing, whether it's past, present, future, whatever I'm up to on all those platforms. You can purchase the book on Amazon.com. Just type in either my name, Joey Cassata, or Start with the Dream, A Drummer's Journey from Rock and Roll to TV to Broadway. You could find that on Amazon. You could find the regular copy on Amazon, and you can find the Audible audio book on Amazon, or you can go on iTunes and find the audio book on iTunes. Same thing. Type in Start with the Dream or Joey Cassata.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Anything else as far as music, acting, anything like that coming down the pipes for you?
Yes. So again, so much. I'm always up to way too many projects than I have the right to be doing, especially during this crisis. I'm trying to get as much done as possible. Like we were talking earlier, play with my kids all day long, do homeschooling all day long, but I'm up all night long doing projects. And, I'm currently writing my second book right now. I don't want to give away exactly what it's going to be about, but it's more of a comedy type, funny type stories book. And it's going to be great. It should be. I have most of it done already, and I'm hoping to have it done by midsummer, maybe even released by midsummer and summer. I'm doing that. I'm touring with Eric Martin from Mr. Big. We do shows across the country. We had, of course, a lot of shows booked this summer that have been postponed indefinitely and/or canceled. So be on the lookout for me across the country with Eric Martin. I'm constantly doing recording. We're doing some more Broadway stuff coming up. But like I said, social media is the best way to follow me and figure out what I'm up to next.
Perfect. Perfect.
Excellent.
Tom, where can people find us besides this podcast?
Yeah, so we gave our email address, shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com. We're on all the social medias. If you're listening to us, you follow us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Podcast is everywhere. Obviously, you're listening to us, but if your platform of choice is available, we're on all the big ones. We're also part of that excellent Pantheon podcast family that we talk about all the time. It's not just us. Tons of great music shows, all different genres, all different types of hosts there. So it's check us out, check them out, and we're always around.
Yeah, and give us one of those 5-star child reviews. When you find our podcast on Podchaser, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find us, we appreciate that. It helps put us out there for everybody to find us. And if you ever listen to one of Joey's videos or anything like that, give him a 5-star child review as well. We have a couple reviews that we're going to read real quickly. I got one from Aces High, gave us a couple 5-star reviews on Podchaser. And I think we got one here. I'm going to read one here. The Jericho episode is the title. Hey, guys, just finished the latest Jericho episode. Well done. The whole non-makeup tourney was great. Do me a favor. Now, I'll explain to you after this. When we meet Jericho on the Kiss Cruise, don't tell him I'm related to Sonny. I hate to get body slammed onto the high seas. That's from his brother, Danny.
Nice. And Jericho may do that, so.
Absolutely. Tom, do you have anything you want to read?
Yeah, we got a couple quick emails here. So this one comes from Dan Reuven, and he says, I love the podcast and the content. As a longtime Kiss fan and having gone backstage at 2 of the New York City area end of the road tour shows, love the insight and all the great stuff. And then he talks about the tournament, the brackets and everything. He says, by the way, I agree with Jericho. I love the Revenge lineup, and my first Kiss album was Alive 3. Excellent. That's a good one. And then we got one today. From a friend of the show, Angelo Capasso. He writes us a lot, and we appreciate his. But this email was this.
What was the title of the email?
1, 2, 3 sides? No way. That's the title of the email.
Yeah, get a couple fucking posters. Yeah.
So this is a good one. He says, "Well, guys, I tried so hard to listen to other Kiss podcasts, and trust me, I run 2 hours every morning, listening 7 days a week, and I struggle with every other one. You guys ruined it for me. I started with the best, and nothing out there matches you guys. We appreciate that, but there's plenty of other awesome Kiss podcasts out there. But thank you for putting us number one. I'm actually replaying most of your Kiss casts. You have what Gene says, charisma."
Oh, terrible.
Then he
song.
says, then he has some kind words. "Keep up the great work. You may not realize this, but both of you are really doing a wonderful service by taking our minds away for a few hours a week during these very scary times that we are living in. For a few hours each week, you guys put a smile on my face. I push play, and you take me away to a fun, educational trip with the greatest band ever. Be safe and keep doing what you are doing. It really does matter."
One last thing. You skipped the part. Even your old Stonehill days interest me.
Oh, yeah, I missed that. But Angelo, we appreciate that you're a huge fan of the show, and we appreciate those kind words and the fact that anybody would look to us to take your mind off of the chaos is maybe the greatest compliment we could ever get, and we appreciate that. So kind words from our listeners, we always appreciate that.
Yeah, and
Are you sure that wasn't Zeus's mom that wrote that?
That would be in Greek, and Tommy can't read it.
Well, Joey, we pay, remember how you were saying certain bands pay to be on tour? We pay these people to email us,
and to like us, do all our things.
I didn't get my check, by the way. I don't think I received the check.
Yeah, you're going to get a huge check from us. So one of the things that we were saying last week, Jericho, your buddy, was mentioning as entertainer, he loves, doing this during this time because this is what he can do. He's not a firefighter, but he can do his small part. And we're trying to do our small part by doing more episodes and putting more entertainment out there. But the funny part was your buddy was plugging your book and he gave you a couple of shots, but he did have your book on his Saturday night special that he was doing. And there I was watching it. And then all of a sudden while I'm watching, I see Joey Cassata has joined. I'm like, Joey's seeing it. And you got a shitload of requests for your book, thanks to your good friend Chris.
No, he hooked me up good. Even though that son of a bitch didn't have an actual copy of the book, he had a printout of it. Stupid bastard that he
was
is.
Holding up like a screenshot of the book.
Yeah.
It was a piece of paper. He printed the cover up like right.
Yeah, a laser printer that he couldn't even cut out the edges of it. He had to hold up. Stupid bastard. But no, he's great. I'm the official sponsor of Jericho's Saturday Night Special. I'm going to be making an appearance in a couple of weeks, so tune in.
Yeah.
But, he's great. He's awesome.
Oh, of course.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, of course. So then that's when you'll be pushing us out there too, right? Of course, right?
Maybe we'll see.
Of course. So I'm going to hold up the Xerox copy of you guys too.
That's it. Of what? Our mugs? You're going to scare his listeners. So, guys, I mean, we usually end this with famous last words. So we're going to hand this over to you. Do you have any famous last words, Kiss songs?
For me?
The other Joey over here.
Well, you didn't say Joe, you stupid fuck.
I'm pointing to you, you fuck.
This is what happens. You can't bring Boston and New York together. I can't believe we lasted
this is gonna get ugly, but we waited till the fucking last minute. But go ahead.
So listen, Kiss lyrics have been inspiring me my whole life. So to choose Kiss lyrics that really resonate with me, it was hard. It was a hard choice. I listen to you guys all the time, and I knew you were going to ask this question. So, I had a couple choices, but I went this way. And tell me if you know where I'm coming from. I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to give up in the fight. Because after the battle is done, all you got left is your pride.
Now, see, did Jericho make you do that? Because I think that's one of his favorite songs, and I love that song, and Zeus hates it.
Dude,
I love that song.
Serious? That is the fakest shit. That is Paul Stanley's "We Can Do It." Like, come on.
I'm gonna talk like I talk, walk like I walk, my way.
Oh, sure you are.
Beautiful.
Funny story about that. I'm on Chris Jericho's cruise with him, and we're up in his suite getting destroyed one night, and everyone's hammered beyond belief, and we're listening to a Spotify playlist, and I'm screaming at him, I want to hear My Way. I even want to hear like the vocal only version of My Way on YouTube.
Like he played it for us.
Yeah, so I'm screaming at him that I want to hear this, and we're fighting because he won't play it because he's telling me if I play that, everyone is leaving. And me and you are going to be sitting here hugging like idiots, listening to it, and everyone else is going to be gone.
And I don't go that way. You know what I'm saying?
And he wouldn't play it.
Oh. That is funny. So even he knows, yeah, that's a fucking personal favorite. I'm not playing that at a party. Good for him.
When we had him on for the Kiss for our draft, he's like, "Oh, you guys got to hear this. It's My Way with just vocals." And me and Zeus are like, "What the fuck are you playing?"
Like, I can't. I don't know him yet well enough to just say, what the fuck did you do to make my ears bleed? What the fuck is this horrible shit? But it's funny. You know what, Joey? That gives me a good idea. We should have you on for one of our Kiss drafts.
Oh, absolutely.
Hold everything. Speaking of this fucking Kiss draft, just so everyone knows, I should be the winner of this. And here's why.
Oh, the brackets.
Zeus sends me this.
Okay,
yes, no, that's what. I'm sorry. The brackets. Yes, I'm sorry. The brackets. Zeus sends me this bracket. Now, when I fill out the bracket, I'm picking what I like. I'm not picking to win. He doesn't give me any. He doesn't tell me any information. Oh, we're picking, whoever votes for the most songs here gets points. And he doesn't tell me the whole story. He just says, hey, dude, fill out this bracket. And of course, just like everyone else did, except for, maybe him, they filled it out with their personal favorites. Nobody picked the Kiss Chart favorites like he did.
I only picked it because I know the sheep. That's what they're going to do every fucking time.
But you know the rules beforehand. No, you don't tell anyone the rules.
People say Unholy's the best song in that era, then they'll win.
No. Joey did what I did. I didn't pick a bracket to win. I picked my own personal fun bracket.
Pick two.
Yeah, because you're a cheater.
37 points, the real one I wanted. I had
next bracket. Now I know how you rig it to suit your own needs there. Next bracket you do, I win.
But Joey, what Zeus originally says, the next time we have a Kiss draft, we'll have you on to be part of that draft. So we'll pick a topic and have you on that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we're veering off on the famous last words as usual here. So no, he did. He did my way.
You.
Oh, me. Oh, okay. All right. So one of my favorite songs in honor of Dynasty, which I did not pick as a Desert Island disc. I don't know how, shame on me, but Gene, famous words from Gene. One day you'll see, you'll come crawling back to me. I'm your one and only. That's a fact. One of the best songs by Gene. I love Charisma. I'm sorry, X-Ray Eyes. X-Ray Eyes. Love that song.
I like that song too.
Yeah.
They played it once live,
I know.
Dynasty's underrated.
Oh,
Dynasty
I love
is underrated. Dynasty's very underrated.
Love it.
Absolutely. So, I may end up in jail if I said these words out loud at a certain place.
Uh-oh.
I don't usually say things like this to girls your age. When I saw you coming out of school that day, hey, that day I knew I've got to have you. I've got to have you. Dude, I would be locked up so fucking fast if I ever said these words out loud in front of anybody.
Dude, 1977 was a different time.
Please somehow grab the video from this call, because the video is way creepier than the actual voice, because he was leaning into that mic and that screen, and his tongue was like, you saw the spit coming out. He was like drooling all over himself. It was absolutely disgusting.
like as though I've said this before or done this before. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, perfect. Joey, it's been an honor, privilege, and a lot of fun having you on. You're a good paisan from New York. We'd enjoyed it. You're welcome back on anytime. Thank you. Thank you, Kiss Army. Thank you, Tom.
Joey, this has been such a blast. And for a supersized guest like Joey, we got a supersized episode here. We hope you guys enjoy this. We've been talking forever. This is what happens when you get three loudmouths from the Northeast together. This has been such a blast, and we can't wait to have you back. Thank you so much for taking the time and for putting together this amazing book.
Boys, thanks so much for having me. Like I said, I'm a huge fan. I love everything you do. Keep doing it, and I'll be tuning in every week.
And
Thank you, buddy.
Don't forget, everybody out there, go send in an email, shoutitoutloudcast@gmail.com, and give us the episode of the Jericho episode from Z-Rock Season 2 name, and you'll get a copy of Joey's book, one audio and one hard copy. And thank you again for listening. Peace out, Girl Scout.